In Douluo, all the goddesses collapse. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 126 Gathering. Xiao Wu. Arao looked at her daughter and tears flowed down. She thought she would never see her daughter again, but she didn't expect the diary owner to resurrect her. Wu Crossing, who was watching this scene, also loosened Arao's hands appropriately, allowing the mother and daughter to be intimate. Mom, Xiao Wu misses you so much. Xiao Wu instantly threw herself into Arao's arms, spitting out the longing for these times. Arao hugged her daughter tightly, patted her back, and kept comforting her. When the mother and daughter were being intimate, a figure flashed and appeared here. The person who came was Liu Erlang. When she saw the surrounding scenery, she was a little surprised, and her eyes were also on the mother and daughter in her arms. A look of surprise appeared on her face for a moment, but she didn't say anything to disturb him. Instead, she came to Wu Crossing and whispered, "What happened here just now? Tangson just came up and wanted to kill me, and then I beat him, and his father followed him here." Wu Crossing told everything that happened before, but he didn't say anything about the embarrassing thing with Xiao Wu. Liu Erlang was shocked when she heard this. She didn't expect that Tangson actually held a grudge and wanted to kill Wu Crossing. She didn't expect Tang Heo to show up, and she didn't expect that the owner of the diary actually had Ling Yuan, the protector, and resurrected Arao. While she was surprised by what happened here, several figures suddenly appeared one after another. They were Du Gubo, who heard the noise and came here, as well as Ning Rangrong, her father Ning Fengxi, and Gurang. "Brother Wu Crossing, are you not hurt?" As soon as Gurang put Ning Rangrong down, she ran to Wu Crossing anxiously and asked with concern. Such a scene immediately made Ning Fengxi and Gurang look at each other strangely. "Not hurt?" Wu Crossing smiled and touched Ning Rangrong's little head. He naturally noticed the presence of Ning Fengxi and Gurang, but he didn't feel too restrained. Ning Rangrong breathed a sigh of relief after hearing this, and then asked again, "Brother Wu Crossing, what happened here just now? Why is there such a big commotion?" Wu Crossing had to tell Ning Rangrong what happened before. "That Tangson is really abominable. He actually attacked you, Brother Wu Crossing." Ning Rangrong gritted her teeth when she heard it. Fortunately, Sister Ling Yuan was here, and she had the resurrection spell to make Xiao Wu's mother appear. Otherwise I really don't know what the consequences would be. "Little guy, are you okay?" Du Gubo also asked with concern at this time. From what Wu Crossing and Ning Rangrong said just now, he already knew the cause and effect of the matter. While he was shocked, he also had to express his gratitude to this confirmed grandson-in-law. As for the daughter of the Seven Treasures glazed tile sect who appeared again, he didn't care too much. After all, with Wu Crossing's talent, he will definitely be able to step into the upper realm in the future. What's wrong with having a few women? As long as he treats Yan Yan sincerely, he will be very satisfied. And from the previous contact, he also knows that this kid will not let his precious granddaughter down. "Thank you for your concern, Senior Debu. Everything is fine." Wu Crossing smiled and bowed to Du Gubo. "Yes." Du Gubo nodded and then warned, "If you encounter such things in the future, don't be too aggressive. You have to avoid when you should avoid it and protect yourself first." Although he heard Wu Crossing's words lightly, the truth was far from as simple as the other party showed. Otherwise the surrounding environment would not have been destroyed so much. Even if he attacked with all his strength, he could not achieve this degree. He didn't want his precious granddaughter to become a widow because of the other party's youth and frivolity, so he had to persuade when he should. After all, the reputation of Haoshan Douluo as a titled Douluo, he was also extremely afraid. "Kid understands." Wu Crossing raised his hand again and answered. While the two were talking, Ning Fengxi and Gurang also came up, first bowed and greeted Du Gubo, and then looked at Wu Crossing. At this time, Ning Fengxi was very surprised, mainly because there were actually 3 titled Douluos present. Except for Du Gubo, he didn't know the other 2, and more importantly, they were 2 female titled Douluo. And judging from their appearance, both Du Gubo and the other 2 female titled Douluo seemed to be very friendly to Wu Crossing. so he was very curious about Wu Crossing's identity. Rong, don't you want to introduce this little brother to your father? Ning Fengzi asked his daughter, who was holding Wu Crossing's arm, with a smile. Ning Rong's face didn't blush when she heard her father's words, but she didn't let go of his hand and introduced, Dad, Grandpa Bone, his name is Wu Crossing. He is a student of Shyandao Royal Academy, and also my daughter's good friend. Brother Wu Crossing, this is my father, and this is Grandpa Bone. After introducing Ning Fengzi, Ning Rong hurriedly introduced Wu Crossing again, with a happy smile on her face from beginning to end. Does this count as meeting the parents? Ning Rong couldn't help but think wildly, but with brother Wu Crossing's talent, his father and Grandpa Bone would definitely not object to their relationship. Hello, Master Ning, Senior Bone Douluo. Wu Crossing said, neither servile nor overbearing. You're welcome, little brother. Ning Fengzi nodded with a smile, but he became more curious about the identity of the man in front of him. How did a student of Shyandao Royal Academy know his daughter? Why did he appear in this Lanba Academy? And it seems that the Dean of Lanba Academy is also familiar with this kid. This is very intriguing. If it was a family that came out to practice, he should have heard of it. Why hadn't he heard of it before? There is another point. From the conversation just now, he also heard what was going on with such a big commotion. It was actually related to that Haoshan Douluo. It seemed that he had also attacked the guy in front of him, which was even more surprising. Although he was full of doubts, he didn't mean to ask immediately. He would ask his daughter in detail later. Ahem. At this time, Ling Yuan's cough came, interrupting everyone's greetings. Wu Crossing reacted immediately. He hurriedly stepped forward and asked, Ling Yuan, are you okay? Ling Yuan rolled her eyes. Do you think I'm fine now? This little bastard was busy chatting with others, completely ignoring her, the injured person. Seeing Ling Yuan's expression, Wu Crossing suddenly realized, smiled awkwardly, patted his head embarrassedly, and then mobilized the soul power that had recovered a little. In an instant, 3 black 10,000-year soul rings emerged from under his feet. When Ning Fengzi and Gu Rong saw the 3 10,000-year soul rings emerging from Wu Crossing's feet, their eyes widened, with an expression of disbelief on their faces. Not to mention the two of them, even Du Gubo was shocked when he saw the 3 10,000-year soul rings after hearing about it from his granddaughter. As expected, a guy with an innate soul power of level 30, worthy of being his grandson-in-law, is different. However, the surprise was not over yet. As the martial spirit emerged, several people widened their eyes again. 9-Heart Begonia. Chapter 127, Xing, the Delicious Bun. Although the 9-Hearted Begonia is the first healing spirit, it is not surprising for spirit masters of their level. What made Du Gubo dumbfounded was that his granddaughter said that his spirit was the Blue Silver Emperor. When did it become the 9-Hearted Begonia? Ning Fengzi and Gu Rong stared at each other and then frowned. The 9-Hearted Begonia is indeed a good spirit, but for the 7 Treasures Glazed Tile sect, it seems a bit tasteless. After all, for the 7 Treasures Glazed Tile sect, the standard for choosing a son-in-law is to match an attacking spirit master, and as the only daughter of the sect, Ning Rong is not allowed to be a couple with an auxiliary spirit master. But now Rong's appearance clearly fell in love with each other, so the two frowned. But before they could think about it, a staff spirit appeared on Wu Crossing's body, refreshing their cognition. Healing staff. Twin spirits. Ning Fengzi and Gu Rong both took a breath of cold air. Twin auxiliary spirits? They had never even heard of it before. Du Gubo opened his mouth wide, and then he was ecstatic. The surprise Wu Crossing gave him was really too big. Not to mention the innate soul power of level 30, the soul master has 3 10,000-year soul rings, and now he has a 3 life martial soul. No wonder he can be so obsessed with his precious granddaughter, that he even used his power to transfer her to the team, where the other party was. This is a treasure. He can imagine how amazing the child born from Yan'an and the boy will be. No, next time the precious granddaughter comes back, she must make sure she seizes the opportunity to make it a done deal. At this moment, Du Gubo wanted to hug his grandson. However, the incredible things that made them wonder were not over yet. The healing scepter disappeared and was replaced by another martial soul. Looking at the different martial souls that appeared again, several people were instantly uneasy. 3 martial souls. Or 3 healing martial souls. What kind of monster is this kid? Even the calm Ning Fengzi couldn't suppress his inner impulse at this time. He gently pulled his daughter's sleeve and asked softly, Rang, tell dad, what's the matter with this little brother's martial spirit? Although Gurang didn't speak, he looked at Ning Rang. Obviously, he also wanted to know the detailed information of Wu Crossing. If 2 martial spirits were still acceptable, 3 martial spirits were unheard of even for him as a titled Douluo. Ning Rang had long noticed that her father and Grandpa Gu were shocked, with a proud look on their faces. Did you scare them? If I told them that brother Wu Crossing knew all the martial spirits, would I be scared to death? Dad, you just watch. Brother Wu Crossing is the best spirit master. He has many martial spirits, not just auxiliary martial spirits. Ning Rang said with a proud face, looking at Wu Crossing who was treating Ling Yuan. All of her eyes were stars. There are many martial souls. More than auxiliary martial souls. How is it possible? Ning Rang's answer almost made Ning Fengzi and Gurong, who were in a very good mood, stumble and fall to the ground. From what Rang said, the other party has many martial souls, and there are also attack type martial souls. If it were in the past, they would never believe it, but now they have to believe it, just because Wu Crossing used the 4th martial soul in the blink of an eye. If the other party even has an attack type martial soul, then Rang and him are a perfect match. But then he thought about it. No, the problem now is that Rang seems to be unworthy of the other party. Du Gubo, who was standing aside, almost bit off his tongue when listening to Ning Rang's words. But he was more eager to hold his grandson in his heart, and he had to discuss it with Yan'an immediately, so as not to be overtaken by the people of the 7 Treasures Glazed Tile sect. Du Gubo and Ning Fengzi, although they had no communication, were potential competitors because they supported different princes. He was a supporter of Zhu Beng, while the Kibaolioli sect was more inclined to the Crown Prince Zuking, Qian Ringsu. Wu Crossing didn't know what these people were thinking, because he had been drained by Ling Yuan at this time. Ling Yuan, have you recovered? Wu Crossing asked after feeling that there was no soul power left in his body. Ling Yuan had long been numb to the healing soul skills Wu Crossing used. Before, a lot of buffs were superimposed on her, making people dazzled. Now there were a lot of healing soul skills, constantly hitting her. She knew that the little man in front of her probably didn't have martial spirit, that he didn't know, but she was still very happy that the other party was so desperate to treat her. The little bastard still had some conscience, but it was a pity that it was not much. Nodding, Ling Yuan said, it's okay, almost recovered. That's good. Wu Crossing breathed a sigh of relief, and he was still a little apologetic to Ling Yuan. The other party was injured while resisting Tang Heo's attack for him, but he didn't treat him in the first time. It was wrong anyway. After seeing Ling Yuan was fine, Wu Crossing turned around, but was surprised to find that no matter whether it was Du Gubo, Ning Fengzi, Gurong, or Liu Erlong, they were all looking at him blankly. This made Wu Crossing a little at a loss. He scratched his head and said, what's wrong? What are you doing? Haha, grandson-in-law, have you dealt with the matter? You haven't been to Dugu Mansion for 2 months. Have a few drinks with grandpa today, and call Yan'an to join you. Du Gubo was the first to react. He laughed and said cheerfully. Now Du Gubo, who was old, was willing to put his face aside and directly called Wu Crossing grandson-in-law. While expressing his attitude, he also intended to let Ning Fengzi, who was standing beside him, know their relationship. Du Gubo's words made Wu Crossing stunned, and then he understood why the other party suddenly changed his name to him, and smiled and said, okay, Grandpa Du Bu, I'll ask Yanzi later. Okay. Du Gubo was so happy to hear the name Grandpa Du Bu. Du Gubo's words made Ning Fengzi's mouth twitch slightly. He naturally understood what Senior Dugu meant, but even if he understood, he just smiled slightly. It was not easy to see such a demon who defied the heavens, and he also had a good relationship with his daughter. How could he let the other party get what he wanted? Little brother, I heard Rang say that you helped her evolve her martial soul. As a thank you, my 7 Treasures Glazed Tile sect specially held a dinner tonight. I hope you can come. Ning Fengzi said with a smile. Ning Fengzi, what do you mean? Du Gubo was so angry that he blew his beard and glared at him. Did Ning Fengzi want to interfere? Senior Debu, Fengzi came here this time to thank this little brother for helping Ran Grang solve the troubles of martial soul. He specially held a banquet in the sect to entertain him. If you are kind enough, you can also come to the Seven Treasures glazed tile sect as a guest. Ning Fengzi was not afraid at all. He looked at Du Gubo, and it seemed that there was lightning colliding in the invisible air. Wu Crossing was dumbfounded when he saw the two people suddenly confronting each other. One was Yan's grandfather, and the other was Ran Grang's father. He seemed unable to refuse either of them, nor did he want to refuse. But the problem was that he was alone and could not do everything. Dear readers, what should I do? Waiting online, it's urgent. Chapter 128, Taking Credit. Until the end, neither of them got what they wanted. It wasn't that Wu Crossing didn't want to agree, it was Ling Yuan and A Rao who stood up. Especially Ling Yuan. How could her little man be dragged around by you guys, treating her like air? Doesn't the spirit hall have any face? Even if the Pope respects Wu Crossing's choice, why should you guys let him do what you think? When the two female title Douluo appeared, both Du Gubo and Ning Fengzi had to give up their ideas. So the two of them fought against each other, and neither side got any benefits. After a cold snort, they left Shrek Academy. Seeing that the matter was over, Wu Crossing also said goodbye to everyone, and Ling Yuan, and returned to the hotel. Ara originally wanted to follow, but because she hadn't been reunited with her daughter for too long, she stayed in Shrek Academy for the time being. Husband, what happened at Shrek? As soon as they returned to the hotel, Suruoxi and the other girls couldn't wait to ask about it. The huge noise just now startled them. Such a thing had never happened in Xiandao City before. Knowing that their men were going there after lunch, how could they not worry? You will understand when you read the diary. Wu Crossing did not answer directly, but opened the diary panel and began to write today's diary to save the trouble of explaining one by one. Seeing this, Suruoxi, Du Guyan, and Yilingling stopped asking questions and took out their diary copies. They did not wait too long, and the updated content began to appear on the diary copy. Today's weather is really good, the sun is bright, and there are no clouds in the sky. I'm also in a good mood. It is a day worth recording. As the subtitles of the diary copy appeared, many diary copy holders were stunned, including Suruoxi and the other women. What happened to make the diary owner so happy? And said it was a day worth recording? Looking at it with curiosity, the subtitles appeared in front of them one by one. Before recording today's events, let me first talk about the diary reward I received yesterday. Green Hat JPG. When Wu Crossing uploaded the picture of the green hat into the diary, the girls were stunned again, and then they were ecstatic soon. From what the diary owner had talked about before, the protagonist of the world, the son of luck, they all understood the horror of the protagonist's halo. It was really unreasonable. It was simply the son of God. All opportunities and luck were fed to the other party. If it wasn't an enemy, it would be fine. If it was an enemy, encountering such a thing would be a complete disaster for them. Now seeing that such a heaven-defying protagonist halo can be broken, they all breathed a sigh of relief. In addition, some diary holders who understand the meaning of the green hat in the world, looking at the glittering green hat in the picture, only felt extremely dazzling, and an extremely strange look appeared on their faces. I'm afraid this hat is not as simple as described above. For the vast number of pen pals in the Douluo world, when I got this reward, I immediately found Xiao Wu. Xiao Wu is very awesome. As the heroine, she is unwilling to go along with a disgusting protagonist like Tang San. She also takes the responsibility for the sake of her fellow Douluo pen pals, and is not influenced by him. She resolutely accepts this task. Finally, she puts the hat on Tang San herself. What I didn't expect was that when Tang San put on the hat, he couldn't accept it and fainted. With this mentality and this character, I don't know how that guy can be the protagonist. It's really not good. Are you a devil? The girls, seeing Wu Crossing's serious face, but doing something that kills people, they were speechless. They have read so many diaries, so they naturally know that Xiao Wu is the girl Tang San likes, and it's the kind of extremely morbid love. You let his beloved woman wear such a green hat for him. Even if it doesn't break the attribute of the protagonist's halo, which man can accept this meaning? It would be strange if he didn't faint. After learning that Tang San was fainted from anger, I went to Shrek Academy today to visit that guy out of kindness to my Douluo pen pals. That guy seemed very annoyed with my arrival, and he was determined not to stop until he killed me. For this reason, I risked my life and played games with him several times, and finally confirmed that his protagonist halo was gone. So the beauties of the Douluo world, you can do anything with confidence and boldness, and don't have to worry about being affected by his halo. Looking at Wood Crossing's appearance of seeking credit, Ning Rangrong, who knew what happened, had a strange look on her face. This big bad guy is so bad that people who don't know would think you really do it for their own good. Not bad. You kid finally did something that makes this Pope happy. When she saw Wood Crossing say that Tang San's protagonist halo was gone, Bibi Dong's face showed a satisfied look. She knew that Tang San would eventually be her enemy, and there would definitely be a battle. Now that the opponent's halo has been broken, she naturally doesn't have to worry about being defeated by the opponent in the future. Bibi Dong has such strong self-confidence. Similarly, seeing this, Hulina's heart was also relaxed. She was indeed afraid of the halo of Tang San mentioned by the owner of the diary. The attribute that can make women of the same age become love-brained and then fall in love with the other party uncontrollably. Just thinking about it can make her shudder. Now that she knows that this halo has been broken, she has no worries. At the elite competition of the All-Continent Advanced Soul Master Academy, she must prove herself to her teacher and must not let that disgusting guy be like the original. Although I have a slight advantage in several confrontations, this guy hates me even more. When Zio Wu and I went to the back mountain of Shrek Academy to appreciate the beauty, that guy finally couldn't help it and found an opportunity to attack me. Huh. Tang San attacked the owner of the diary? As soon as these two lines of words appeared, many diary holders were shocked, and their hearts rose to their throats. They knew that Tang San, who was in the Douluo world, had Tang sect hidden weapons that could hurt gods, and Wood Crossing might not be that powerful now. But then they thought, if something unexpected happened, the diary owner might not update the diary for them now, and would not be so happy. He didn't hold back when he attacked. Even with my level 38 soul power, I was caught off guard for a while, and this guy is also very powerful. When he saw that he couldn't defeat me with soul power alone, he directly used Tang sect hidden weapons. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 129, Yin's Heartbreak. As we all know, the Tang sect's hidden weapons can kill gods in this world. They are very abnormal and well deserved. Moreover, it is the strongest single target attack, the Rain of Pear Blossom Needles. As expected, Arlingyu and Douluo used the 8th soul skill, but he couldn't resist thousands of silver needles. This is a big poo, or a big poo on the lily plane. A titled Douluo can't resist the hidden weapons. It's really funny. There is no way. At this critical moment, seeing that the silver needles are about to attack us, I can't hide it anymore. I also use the Zishu sword technique of Hanai's pen pal, paper falling clouds and mists. Finally, I successfully blocked the Rain of Pear Blossom Needles, which made that guy doubt his life. You don't know how confused that little jerk was when I used Hanai's pen pal's Zishu sword technique. You know, there are no martial arts moves in this world. He thought he could master it by himself. It's so funny. The women were speechless when they saw this. You are a storyteller, but you really treat the diary copy as a lecture hall. You are not going to hide it at the critical moment. Although many beauties were amused, they also understood one thing, that is, different worlds can be cultivated. Does this mean that after the diary level is upgraded, they can also master the cultivation system of other worlds? If they can learn the skills of Liu Shen and Ruthless Emperor, can they become the same as them? Can they also have the ability to be immortal, or live through life after life? Thinking of this, many diary holders were excited. But later, I was going to take the opportunity to get rid of him, but in the end his father Tang Heo showed up to save the situation. It was a little regretful that I didn't kill him. To be honest, there is one thing I really can't understand about Tang Heo. This guy's ring explosion buff is very rogue. I have added countless buff effects to Ling Yuan, but I'm still no match for him. My fellow pen pals in Xiandao City, the noise you saw today was caused by Tang Heo wanting to kill me. In desperation, I could only use my trump card to revive Arao. Fortunately, Arao's soul skills can better restrain this guy's attack, otherwise I'm afraid I won't see you for a long time. Seeing Wood Crossing say that he almost died in Xiandao City today, whether it was the beauties in the Douluo world or the diary holders in various worlds, their hearts beat fiercely. If the diary owner died, it would definitely be a huge loss for them, which is immeasurable. Even those women who have no desires and no demands do not want Wood Crossing to go offline. After all, this will make them lose a place to have fun. And those women who want to improve their strength, want to get rewards, and want to upgrade their diaries, let alone. Even the ruthless emperor is no exception. If he could not break through the dimensional barrier, he might have traveled to the Douluo world and killed the guy called Tang Heo. Although she has plenty of time to wait, no one knows what dangers a diary owner will encounter when he is resurrected a year later. What if he dies again and again, and someone guards his body? How long will it take to revive his brother? In the end, it was a close call, and I got through the difficulties. It also allowed me to expose Tang Heo's character. Ayan, pen pal, are you watching? I uploaded the video to the diary, and you can see if Tang Heo is worth your efforts. Wood Crossing wrote this, and then uploaded the video of today's confrontation with Tang Heo to the diary copy. As Wood Crossing finished uploading, Ayan in the Pure Land world and Tang Yuhua in Yuxun, both women clicked to view it immediately. When watching the conversation between the owner of the diary and Tang Heo, the two women made a click, and their hearts suddenly shattered into countless pieces. Tang Heo is such a person, Ayan murmured to herself. Her beautiful eyes were full of disbelief. She never expected that such a thing would happen, and she never thought that her wholehearted efforts would be exchanged for deception. She was hunted down by the spirit hall and forced into a desperate situation by Kyang Sunji. All this was Tang Heo's calculation. No wonder I was so good at hiding, but my identity was still exposed. No wonder I couldn't escape the pursuit of those people, no matter how I tried to escape. It seems that the other party did it on purpose. Watching this video, I don't know how long it took. Ayan's fair face flashed a trace of self-mockery. Is the 100,000-year soul ring so important? Is the soul bone so tempting that he even betrayed his wife and made such a situation? At this moment, Ayan's heart was completely broken. His face was as hen, and even the original idea of reviving disappeared at this time. The son is not a son, and the husband is not worthy of the husband. He took advantage of his innocence and his feelings, and wanted to take his soul ring and soul bone by any means. Love, haha, what a ridiculous thing. After watching it, Tang Yuhua's whole body was trembling. The brother she admired the most turned out to be such a person, doing such a vicious and unjust thing. In order to obtain the soul ring and soul bone of Sister Yin, he even betrayed his wife and gave up his wife. He was unworthy of being a husband. In an instant, Tang Yuhua felt that the admiration she once had for Tang Heo was ridiculous. The other diary holders were also shocked when they saw this video. There are such shameless men in the world who are not worthy of being human. Ayan, pen pal, you may feel very uncomfortable now, but I advise you that Tang Heo is not worth your efforts. You don't need to mess up your mind for him. Not everyone in this world is like him. There are still many trustworthy people and trusted companions. Look at it more openly. We can cross dimensions and planes to meet each other. That is fate. Everyone is like this. It's no big deal. There is no difficulty that can't be overcome. After the cooling time is over, I will revive you. Wood Crossing can be said to be one of his favorite wives. Appearance is second. It is mainly reflected in temperament. Naturally, he needs to communicate more and be determined to win her. Seeing the concern of the diary owner, Ayan's silent heart felt a little warm. Yes, seeing Tang Heo's face clearly, there is nothing to be sad about such a person. It can only make oneself more sad. Okay, today's diary will be updated here temporarily. See you tomorrow, all pen pals. After closing the panel, Wood Crossing saw the sad faces of the women. Women are all emotional. Obviously, they all sympathize with Ayun's experience. Fortunately, they found the right person, a husband who loves and cares for them. System, receive the reward. Wu Crossing communicated with the system after exhaling a turbid breath. Ding, it is detected that the host has updated a diary and a cooling card is rewarded. Chapter 130 Ling Yuan joins. Another cooldown card? Looking at the reward, Wu Crossing was slightly stunned. This was to revive Ayun. But he soon gave up the idea, although Ayun had watched the video and should have completely given up on Tang Heo. But in the same way, with the other party's temperament, after such a thing happened, her heart would probably be closed to everyone, and it would be very difficult to open it. So it must be done in a gradual manner, and it is not urgent. You can only break into her heart slowly, and bit by bit. Besides, Arao herself has not been conquered yet, so you can't be impatient. After all, mature women like them are not as easy to win over as little girls with sweet words. At night, Wu Crossing's hotel room. Tonight, he turned over Suruox's card, and it was natural that the two lived together. Hubby, you go take a shower first. Just when Wu Crossing was thinking about playing adult games with Suruoxi, she supported him with both hands and pushed him into the bathroom. According to the previous situation, as long as he released some information, Suruoxi would be shy and half-heartedly agree. But tonight, asking him to take a shower in the bathroom first was the first time in such a long time. Although he felt a little strange, Wu Crossing didn't think too much and lay comfortably in the wooden barrel. He originally thought that the girl would come in to rub his back, but he waited for a long time and didn't see her come in, which made him even more confused. Is this girl going to give me a surprise? Wu Crossing couldn't help thinking in his heart while rubbing his back. If it was a surprise, what would it be? Uniform temptation? Or did she buy new stockings and sexy suits? This is very likely. Otherwise, with Ruox's personality, she wouldn't be so shy. It seemed to confirm his guess. Wu Crossing became excited, humming an unknown song while speeding up the rubbing of his back. Obviously, while he was in the bathroom, his mind had already flown outside. Wu Crossing finished it in a few seconds, wrapped a bath towel around his lower body, and shouted before he went out, "Ruoxi baby, my husband is here." But what greeted him was silence, without any response. Huh? What's going on? When Wu Crossing pushed open the bathroom door, he was a little dumbfounded. He saw that the lights in the bright room were all off, and it was pitch black. Only the moonlight outside the window could barely see the general situation. After a long pause, Wu Crossing came back to his senses. Looking at the figure covered on the bed, his heart moved again. Could it be that baby Ruoxi wanted to play some special tricks with him? In an instant, Wu Crossing felt that his blood was boiling, and a naughty smile appeared on his face. He slowly came to the bed. The next second, he lifted the quilt and got into the delicate body of the host Suruoxi. Baby Ruoxi, you want to play with your husband, Wu Crossing took a deep breath in her hair, and when he opened his mouth to ask what to play, he found something wrong. Whether it was the size of the panda or the fragrance of the hair, it didn't match Suruoxi's, and he could feel that the body he was holding was trembling slightly. Whether it was Du Guyan or Yilingling, this shouldn't happen. At this moment, he was confused. It was not Suruoxi, Du Guyan, or Yilingling. Who was the woman in his arms? With a slightly stiff hand, he gently turned over the woman's body. With the moonlight, Wu Crossing finally saw clearly who the woman in his arms was. "Why are you in this room?" Wu Crossing said in astonishment. The woman in his arms was indeed not the third woman, nor Ning Rangrong, but Ling Yuan. At this time, Ling Yuan's face was flushed, and there was no momentum of the title Douluo. "Why can't I be in this room?" Hearing Wu Crossing's words, Ling Yuan pretended to be calm. The reason why she appeared here was because of Arao this afternoon. When she saw that this little bastard had a crooked mind towards Arao, she felt a huge sense of urgency and was also stimulated. Before, she only felt that the age gap between the two was too big, so she couldn't let go of the traditional concept. But with the appearance of Arao, the bastard in front of her didn't care at all, so she decided to go all out. Therefore, she just revealed it to Suruoxi a little, and the other party immediately thought of a good idea for her sister. Unexpectedly, the heavens were on her side, and that night the bastard turned over the card of Sister Ruoxi. However, what happened next was natural. No, what about Ruoxi? Wood Crossing didn't know whether to laugh or cry. To be honest, he did like Ling Yuan, but he didn't expect to sleep with her in this way. She went back to my room. Ling Yuan's mature and charming face flushed, and then she bit her silver teeth and pretended to be angry and said, "At this time, you are still thinking about nothing else. Do you look down on your sister? Isn't your sister beautiful? Doesn't she attract you?" Wood Crossing sweated. He had experienced the momentum of the title Douluo, but it was not something he could resist now. He swallowed and said repeatedly, "Of course not. My sister is very beautiful and very attractive to me." Wood Crossing was not lying. Ling Yuan, now wearing a black gauze nightgown, showed her mature body to the fullest. Coupled with her charming face with the aura of a queen, how many men could ignore it? The reason why he didn't dare to move and froze his hands was because the other party was a title Douluo, and he was a little restrained. If it was Su Ruoxi, Du Guyan, or Yi Lingling, he would have long since turned into a wolf and pounced on her. "Then I see why you don't have any ideas." Ling Yuan raised her eyebrows and slowly moved closer to the other party. Smelling the fragrance that hit his nose, Wood Crossing swallowed his saliva and shouted that he couldn't stand it. It felt that this woman's every smile and frown carried an ambiguous and sexy breath, which was incomparable to a girl. Even if the other party was still a virgin and had never been in love with any man, the natural charm she carried could not be erased. "I'm not afraid." Afraid? Wood Crossing's throat surged. "What are you afraid of?" Before Wood Crossing finished speaking, Ling Yuan opened her red lips and blew a breath of hot air in his ear. Wood Crossing shuddered immediately, and his breathing began to become rapid. Since the other party has done this, how can he hold back? His tiger body shook, and the man's masculinity was fully revealed. With a single arm, he directly embraced Ling Yuan completely in his arms, and her soft and boneless body floated lightly. Then he lowered his head to the woman's moist lips and kissed her hard. Seeing that this little bastard finally took action, Ling Yuan was delighted. She thought she had no charm, instinctively stretched out her jade arms to hook the other party's neck and began to respond awkwardly. I don't know how long it took. One by one, black gauze nightgowns and underwear were thrown off the bed, and pleasant sounds also rang out. Chapter 131. Tangsun was expelled. It is said that mature women know how to cater to their men better in bed. This is absolutely true. Wood Crossing also enjoyed the beauty of it. From the beginning, he took the initiative to attack, but was later suppressed by Ling Yuan and teased by the other party. The extreme pleasure almost made him indulge in it. It was not until dawn that the battle that lasted for several hours ended. When he got up, it was already noon, and he was woken up by Su Ruoxi outside. Looking at the sleeping woman lying beside him, Wood Crossing couldn't help licking his lips. Ling Yuan had a good figure, mainly strong enough, like a ripe peach, which could make people linger. Of course, in addition to this, there is another very important point, that is, the innate desire of men to conquer. The pleasure of pressing a woman who is much stronger than himself under his body and wantonly outputting. How can this taste be described in a few words? After washing up, Wood Crossing walked out of the room, and Su Ruoxi and other women were already waiting outside. When she saw Wood Crossing, who had been busy for so long, coming out, Du Guyan curled her lips, and it was confirmed that her man liked old women. In the past, whether it was her, Lingling, or Sister Ruoxi, he would not get up so late. Now that it has changed to Sister Ling Yuan, he sleeps directly until almost noon. Isn't it a disguised proof that mature women are more attractive to him? Husband, is Sister Ling Yuan awake? When Wood Crossing came to her side, Su Ruoxi asked with a blush. She planned what happened yesterday, and she was still a little uneasy in her heart. In order not to be blamed, she asked first. You are good, girl. You dare to ask, and you even dared to calculate your man last night. Wood Crossing pretended to be vicious and said, then changed the subject, and said with a smile, but my husband likes it very much, and we will continue next time. Su Ruoxi blushed again after hearing this. Just seeing her man so happy, she was relieved. Wood Crossing looked at Su Ruoxi, who was blushing, and then said, your sister Ling Yuan is probably about to wake up, but there is no need to wait for her. Let's go to the Great Soul Arena first. Yes. Suruoxi and the other two girls nodded. When they were heading to the Great Soul Arena, the door of the room was opened again, and Ling Yuan walked out. Last night's madness turned her from a girl into a real woman. Her mature and charming face was even more attractive. In fact, she had already woken up when Wu Crossing was washing up. After all, she was a titled Douluo. Even if the battle was so intense that the sky was dark and the sun and moon were dim, her physical fitness was much better than that of Suruoxi, Du Guyan, and Yi Lingling. It was just because of her face that she pretended to sleep. At the beginning, she was stimulated by Arrow, which made her a little drunk. Now that she has woken up, she will also look a little shy. Although she was a titled Douluo, she was also a woman, and a woman who was several rounds older than Wu Crossing. She took the initiative to offer herself to him. She was like an old cow eating tender grass. No matter what, she would be embarrassed to face those sisters afterwards. However, she did not regret all this. If she could do it again, she would make the same choice. As a woman who had experienced the affairs of men and women, she also had endless aftertastes for the battle last night. This little bastard, needless to say, was as strong as a bull. He killed her and made her lose her armor. She fought back several times, but ended up in failure. Thinking of that scene, her face turned red again. After sorting out her mood, she rushed to the Great Fighting Spirit Arena. Although the relationship between the two sides had changed subtly, she still remembered her responsibilities. She was completely on the opposite side of Tang Heo yesterday. She could not guarantee whether that guy would come back to attack the little man. Wu Crossing and his companions who came to the Great Fighting Spirit Arena quickly signed up for the individual and double competitions. Due to Wu Crossing's outstanding performance in the fighting arena over the past 2 days, more and more people have come to watch, which has reduced Ling Yuan's chance to take advantage of the opportunity to make more money and become the top sister on the list. Perhaps because Wu Crossing's deeds have spread, the teams in the doubles competition are in a wait-and-see state, and they have not matched their opponents until noon. On the contrary, the team competition started late and arrived first. When the team competition was over, Wu Crossing, who was waiting for the doubles competition in the hall, found that the group of people from Shrek also appeared in the big fighting arena before the broadcast. Brother Wu Crossing, Xiao Wu and the other girls found Wu Crossing in the hall and immediately rushed up happily. Benefactor Aro, who was following Xiao Wu, also took the initiative to shout. Wu Crossing was also helpless about Aro's shouting of benefactor. He had told her yesterday, but she still did not change her words, so he had to let her do it. Why are you here? Wu Crossing glanced behind Xiao Wu and saw that it was Liu Erlang who led the team. He was surprised. Logically speaking, there was such a big commotion at Shrek Academy yesterday, and there were still various matters to deal with afterwards. It didn't make sense to start training so soon. And the so-called Big Wet Yu gang was nowhere to be seen. Xiao Wu looked behind her and understood what Brother Wu Crossing meant. She slowly replied, Tangsun trespassed into the forbidden area yesterday and killed you, Brother Wu Crossing. He seriously violated the school rules. Teacher Erlang issued a notice to the academy and expelled Tangsun. Now he is not a student of Shrek. Tangsun was expelled? Wu Crossing's eyes widened and his tongue almost bit off. He never expected this. That guy was actually expelled directly by Liu Erlang. As expected, he had a hot temper and hated evil. He didn't hesitate to expel the protagonist without giving him any chance to discuss. No wonder he saw that in addition to the original 6 monsters, Jiangsu and others also appeared in the fighting spirit field. They couldn't wait to get used to it and face the upcoming All-Continent Advanced Soul Master Academy Elite competition. However, that little jerk is not a member of Shrek. Will he still participate? With his vindictive character, he will definitely not let it go, but what identity will he participate in the competition in a few months? Wu Crossing was very curious, and at the same time, he was thinking about how it would be when they met again without the aura of the protagonist Tangsun. Yes, Brother Wu Crossing. Xiao Wu nodded. She was not sad at all about Tangsun being expelled, but was slightly happy. Obviously, she had let go of her previous feelings for Tangsun. At this time, she was not only Wu Crossing's woman physically, but also in her heart. How could she still have any concerns about other men. What's more, the care she had given him in the past few years was a conspiracy, and she had nothing worth remembering. After hearing about this, her mother shouted that she would take revenge on the disgusting father and son next time she saw them. Otherwise they really thought that they were easy to bully. Chapter 132, Fence Sitter Uzayada Gang. What about Uzayada Gang? Wood Crossing asked curiously. Tangsan was Uzayada Gang's beloved disciple, and he had to rely on him to make his name known in Douluo Continent. Now that he was expelled, he would not remain indifferent, right? Him? That master? Without waiting for Xiao Wu to answer, Ning Rangrang sneered. Brother Wood Crossing, that guy is an ungrateful person. You are absolutely right. What do you mean? Seeing Ning Rangrang's disgusted tone, Wood Crossing's heart moved. From what this little witch said, could there be something special that he didn't know about? Ning Rangrang talked freely. At the beginning, when he learned that teacher Erlang was going to expel Tangsan, he immediately stood up to oppose it. He said that he had only violated the offense of trespassing into the forbidden area, which was not serious enough to warrant expulsion. And as for trying to kill you, they said you were not a student of the academy, which was not a violation of academy rules. When I heard this, I wanted to laugh. Teacher Erlang also directly pointed out that you were an invited guest, which shut him up completely. Seeing that things were not going to improve, this guy actually ran away overnight and left the remaining Shrek 6 devils alone. This behavior was disgusting to the extreme, and it also let everyone see his true face. In his eyes from beginning to end, there was only a little punk. We were completely out of his eyes. He was a pure fence sitter, and he would go wherever he could bring himself fame and reputation. Ning Rangrang became more and more angry as she spoke, and in the end she wished she could kill Uzayada Gang. Such a person was worthy of being a teacher, which was really disgusting. Wood Crossing listened to Ning Rangrang's explanation, and his expression kept changing. Especially when he heard that Uzayada Gang saw that Liu Erlang had made up his mind. He simply left Shrek Academy and went to Ligtang Heo. This kind of person is really dark. Haha, it's good to see clearly. He has done many things like this. Wood Crossing smiled. First, he was looked down upon by his own sect, so he ran to the spirit hall. When he found that the spirit hall could not satisfy him, he went to Tang Heo. Now that Shrek Academy has expelled Tangsan, he found that he could not get what he wanted and left without hesitation. In his eyes, there is nothing that cannot be abandoned. No wonder what happened yesterday. Liu Erlang still brought everyone to the Great Fighting Spirit Arena for training as soon as possible. I'm afraid he has a headache about the mess that Uzayada Gang made. Yeah. The girls nodded. It's good that they have a copy of the diary, and they know what kind of person Uzayada Gang is. But Flanders, Zao Wuji, and other little monsters were dumbfounded. They felt like flies were eaten, and felt very uncomfortable. They would never have thought that the master who showed a carefree and superior demeanor in front of them was such a selfish person, sacrificing everyone for fame and reputation without hesitation. Brother Wood Crossing, I will accompany teacher Erlang and the others to register first. After talking for a while and reminiscing about the past, at the invitation of Liu Erlang, the girls went to register for the soul fighting competition first. Okay. Wood Crossing nodded. Now Liu Erlang was eager to boost the morale of the students. When Shrek and his group went to register, Suruoxi and the other girls had already said, "Hubby, that guy's really an ungrateful person. He is unworthy of being a mentor." As a teacher, abandoning his students for fame and fortune really shocked them. This made them 1,000 times more disgusted than the hypocritical and double-standard protagonist Tangsan. Haha, I said a long time ago that he is such a person. Wood Crossing smiled and shook his head. There is a reason why so many readers hate him in his previous life. Especially the sentence, "There are no useless spirits, only useless spirit masters." It is funny to hear it. His own spirit, Luo Sanpeo, is useless, but he still shouts with such a big face, which is completely hypocritical. The waiting time is long. Xiao Wu and the others also came back after signing up, but soon, the broadcast sounded. The 5-to-1-2 match, Xingling combination vs. Kibaoling Mayo combination. Please go to the first fighting spirit arena to get ready. The 5th 2-on-2 match, Xingling combination vs. Kibaoling Mayo combination. Please go to the first fighting spirit arena to get ready. As the broadcast came out, everyone who was talking was stunned, and then a strange look appeared on their faces. If I guessed correctly, Kibaoling Mayo combination is the name of the double competition combination of Ning Rangrang and Zhu Zuking. And the two girls in the Xingling combination, who knew the names of Wu Crossing and Yilingling, also thought of something at the first time. Brother Wu Crossing, you won't be my and Zhu King's opponent, right? Ning Rangrang had a bitter face, her mouth wide open for deep throating. Although Zhu King didn't say anything, it can be seen from her expression that she was speechless. Not to mention Liu Erlong, she brought a group of students with her, just to make everyone forget the haze and regain confidence. Unexpectedly, the first game of the doubles match was the most proud combination of her subordinates, facing Wu Crossing, the owner of the diary. Are you doing this on purpose? Liu Erlong was so angry that her chest hurt, and she said unhappily. They had just come to the Great Fighting Spirit Arena not long ago, but this kid had obviously been here for a long time, but he didn't participate in the competition. Instead, he waited until they signed up, and then matched them together. It's unfair. How do I know what's going on? Wu Crossing also had a headache. It was okay to play against anyone, but he had a bigger headache than anyone else when playing against his own woman. Was he going to let her win, or was he going to let her win? I don't care. You can't use your full strength, and you can't use multiple martial spirits. Liu Erlong didn't care how Wu Crossing cried out for injustice, and said heavily, if Ning Rangrang and Zhu Zuking were kicked out of the ring by this guy, the moral boost would be counterproductive. Ning Rangrang pouted and nodded, saying, Brother Wu Crossing, Teacher Erlong is right. You can't bully Rangrang. Yes, Brother Wu Crossing, you can't bully Rangrang and Zuking. Xiao Wu also smiled and helped. Fortunately, she changed her mind temporarily and let Rangrang and Zuking participate in the doubles competition instead of herself. Otherwise she would have played. I didn't expect that this little bunny could be smart. Wu Crossing heard this and said, okay, I won't bully you. I'll just use the blue silver grass, okay? Ning Rangrang nodded with satisfaction when she heard it. It seems that this guy also cares about them. A year flashed through his mind. Ning Rangrang walked to Wu Crossing's side without leaving a trace and whispered, Brother Wu Crossing, if you let Rangrang go later, Rangrang will give you a surprise. Wu Crossing was unconsciously excited after hearing this. Was this little witch bribing him? The previous chapter was reviewed. Chapter 133, against Rangrang and Zuking. At the first Fighting Soul Arena, the lights were flashing, the voices were boisterous, and the audience seats were full. Today's doubles match can be said to be the most favored by the audience, because both teams are air-strong combinations. Needless to say, the Xingling combination has won the victory without opening the martial spirit in 3 days. As for the Kibaoling Mayo combination, although it was the first time to appear in Xiandao City, its record in other Fighting Soul arenas has long been known. The Fighting Soul arena is specially designed to attract the audience. In total, there were more than 30 games, but the proud record of only losing 1 game was also very shocking. Who do you think is stronger between these two teams? Before the players came on stage, the audience seats had already started to discuss. If you ask me, of course it is the Xingling combination. Look at the Soul Master named Wu Crossing. From beginning to end, when facing the opponent, he never opened his martial spirit, which is enough to prove his strength. An audience member immediately expressed his guess. However, in response to the audience's speculation, another audience shook his head. If you ask me, the 7 Treasure Spirit Cat combination is more powerful. Not to mention their outstanding record. The opponents Wu Crossing met before can only be said to be too ordinary. Now it is different. Don't forget that among them is the 7 Treasures Glazed Tower, which is known as the first auxiliary martial spirit. With the blessing of this martial spirit, it is needless to say how strong it is. I dare not agree with your point of view. Don't forget Yilingling of the Xingling combination. She has never taken action. If a protracted war is fought, she, who has the 9-heart begonia, is not inferior to any auxiliary spirit master. Another audience stood up to express his own opinion. In his opinion, the collision between the strong depends on which team can last longer, and the 9-heart begonia is undoubtedly the most outstanding auxiliary martial spirit. As the discussion sounded, the host on the stage also officially announced the entry of the two combinations. Wu Crossing and Yilingling walked out from the east and onto the competition stage, while Ning Rangrang and Zhu Zuking also walked out from the opposite side, almost at the same time, looking at each other from a distance. Ning Rangrang, who stepped onto the stage, had a playful look on her face and winked at Wu Crossing seductively. Looking at Ning Rangrang, who was flirting with him, Wu Crossing's heart was warmed again, and he wanted to end the game immediately and suppress this little witch a few times. However, when he thought about the promise he made to the other party, that he would let her win, he couldn't do so, so he had to proceed according to the original plan. Of course, it doesn't mean that he is going to admit defeat. Lingling is also his woman. Letting her win is letting her win, but he can't really lose the game. As long as she is at the same stage as Zuking, if she wins, it's their ability. The competition is officially open. After the host solemnly introduced the detailed information of the two combinations, he announced the start of the competition. In an instant, Ning Rangrang's playful appearance returned to solemnity, and the 3 best soul ring configurations appeared under her feet, and the 9 treasures glazed tower also appeared in her hand. After taking Kilo Tulip, her martial soul also evolved into the 9 treasures glazed tower, and her soul power was close to the level of soul sect, reaching level 39. 3 soul rings lit up one after another, and all soul skills were added to Zhu Zuking. Zhu Zuking's eyes also condensed slightly, and the soul rings under her feet also emerged. Yellow, purple, and black, 4 soul rings. Her soul power has reached the stage of level 41. With the reward of the diary copy, her soul power level has obviously improved a lot compared to the original work. At this time, she had only reached the level of soul power of level 37. Ning Rangrang was the same. She was only level 36, and both of them improved by several levels. This is more than 2 months after getting the diary copy. It is conceivable that their strength has improved, and the help is not small. 10,000. 10,000 years. 4th ring. When the soul rings under Zhu Zuking's feet appeared, everyone in the audience gasped. This was the first time they had seen the 4th ring of 10,000 years. In the past, it was rare to see the best soul ring configuration in the fighting soul arena. Now, they saw a soul ring that was even more exaggerated than the best soul ring configuration. How could they not be shocked? No wonder they were able to lose only one of more than 30 games. At this moment, everyone understood. At this time, except for Lai Yuerlang and Jiangsu, the rest of the Shrek group were also shocked by Zhu Zuking's soul ring and soul power level. Even Dame Yubei, Oscar, and Mahangjin were doubting their lives. Wasn't Zhu Zuking a soul master the day before yesterday? How come she is a soul master now? The most important thing is the soul ring. I haven't seen her go out to hunt soul beasts. Where did the soul ring come from? Not to mention the 4th ring, which was absorbed from a 10,000 year soul ring. Now they are increasingly confused about Zhu Zuking, Xiao Wu, and Rangrang. Before, they said that they got a treasure like the fairy grass and their soul power was directly increased by several levels. The matter was weird enough. Now even the 10,000 year soul ring has appeared, which is completely beyond everyone's understanding. Is it because of Wu Crossing? Thinking of the recent relationship between the 3 women and Wu Crossing, they suddenly had this strange idea. Otherwise, how to explain everything in front of them? Otherwise, why would the 3 women defend each other so much? After all, Brother Kinming had said before that Wu Crossing had a soul ring cognition that subverted common sense, and maybe he had mastered the skills of absorbing soul rings. When they thought that Wu Crossing had mastered the skills of soul rings, they also became excited. Oscar finally understood why Rangrang fell in love with Wu Crossing. With this skill, who in the whole continent can do it? The so-called theoretical first fence sitter? It was just a joke in front of the other party. He used to think that he was an amazing mentor, but now he only had great disdain for this master. At this moment, Oscar saw it clearly. Rangrang made the right choice, and Wu Crossing was her perfect match. Dame Yubei was different. His soul power was about to reach the soul ancestor. If he could master the skills of absorbing the 10,000-year soul ring, would it mean that he could step on Davis? As long as he stepped on that guy, the throne would be his. What would he lack of women at that time? As for the fiancée, it was fine if he gave her to her. Zhu King didn't like him anyway. In an instant, Daimyo Bei was refreshed, his eyes brightened, and he felt that the road ahead was open, and he didn't have to suffer any more grievances. Wu Crossing didn't know what Oscar and Daimyo Bei were thinking, let alone that Daimyo Bei actually had the attribute of a cuckold. His fiancée was also going to be given to him, in order to please him, and obtain the skills of absorbing 10,000-year soul rings as a bargaining chip. At this time, seeing that both women had opened their martial spirits at the same time, he also mobilized his soul power slowly. In an instant, 3 10,000-year soul rings flashing black gradually rose slowly from under his feet. As the 3 10,000-year soul rings rose, the people in the audience stood up in shock. Some even wiped their eyes and stared at the 3 soul rings surrounding each other in disbelief. Chapter 134, Doubtful Zhu King. Am I dazzled? A soul master with 3 10,000-year soul rings? Am I dreaming? All 10,000-year soul rings? Hiss, bastard, what the hell are you doing? Didn't you say you were dreaming? Are you sure now? After the whole audience fell silent, everyone burst into discussion. Everyone was amazed and doubted their lives. If Zhu King's 4th 10,000-year soul ring was barely acceptable, Wu Crossing's 3 10,000-year soul rings brought them a huge visual and psychological double shock, which subverted the soul rings and gave them a new understanding of the limits of soul masters. The host in the sky also trembled and picked up the microphone in his hand, full of amazement. Incredible, really incredible. Wu Crossing actually has 3 10,000-year spirit rings. This has already broken the knowledge limit of spirit masters. I used to think that Wu Crossing was powerful, but I didn't expect that he had such a hidden trick. However, since he was able to release his own martial spirit, I think the 7 treasure spirit cat combination must also make him feel difficult. Let's wait and see the battle between the two sides. After seeing Wu Crossing release his martial spirit, Zhu King's eyes changed color at the same time. The left eye was dark green, the right eye was clear blue. A pair of cute cat ears stood up slightly, the 10 fingers of both hands flicked, and the spike-like claws popped out. The body bent down, staring at Wu Crossing coldly, as if looking at his prey. The cold and sharp breath gave people a suffocating feeling. The next second, the figure flashed and rushed towards Wu Crossing with unparalleled speed. With the assistance of Ning Rangrong, her speed was unbelievably fast, and even her figure appeared as an illusion. Wu Crossing looked at Zhu King calmly. He was not in a hurry at all. He gently threw his hand. Just when the other party was about to approach him, the blue silver grass instantly sprang out of his hand and entangled with the other party at a very fast speed. She had fought with Tang Sun before, so she had a lot of experience. Seeing the vines of the blue silver grass spreading towards her, her figure flashed, and she exerted her agility to the extreme. With a few jumps, she easily avoided the entanglement, but she was already close to Yilingling. So this is a feint. Looking at Zhu King, who was jumping and approaching Yilingling unknowingly, Wu Crossing showed a smile on his face. That's right, Zhu King rushed towards Wu Crossing. Although she was very fast, in fact, everything she did was a feint. She could rely on Rangrang's assistance and blessing to reach the speed of invincibility in the same realm, but she couldn't keep it for too long. Even if she could suppress Wu Crossing, who was at the same level as her, for a short time, with the assistance of the 9-hearted begonia, she didn't have to worry too much. If they fought a protracted war, she and Rangrang would only be passive, and would become more and more exhausted as their physical strength was consumed. Therefore, the first thing she had to do was to clear Yilingling out of the field while she was at her peak, and then slowly wear down her opponent to gain a chance. However, just as she jumped, and her sharp cat claws pounced on Yilingling, a voice rang out, causing her pupils to shrink slightly. Third soul skill, spider web binding. As the voice came out, a seed floated in front of Yilingling. The seed appeared with a sound and exploded in an instant, and a huge spider web vine enveloped her eyes. When did it happen? Zhu King was shocked, and she did a somersault, causing her body, which had been rushing forward, to fall backwards and step on the ring. Her eyes were full of disbelief, and she actually didn't notice the blue silver grass seed in front of Yilingling. Her mind was working fast, and she finally thought of something. It seemed that, when she saw him rushing towards her, the other party's inadvertent throwing of his hand was to throw a blue silver grass seed at Yilingling. Doesn't this mean that her initial feint was all within the other party's expectations? For a moment, Zhuting was shocked, but before she could think about it, her cat instinct made her hair stand on end, and a dangerous breath spread throughout her body. Zhuting, be careful behind you. Ningrangrang's voice also followed anxiously. When she escaped from the spider web and landed, the blue silver grass in Wu Crossing's hand had already surged out, and the vines turned into whips and came behind her. Zhuting didn't have time to think about it, and she stepped hard, and her body began to sway left and right, showing what snake skin movement is. Facing such a fast speed, it is not easy for the blue silver grass to wrap around the other party. But Wu Crossing was not in a hurry, and just kept releasing blue silver vines from his hands. But Wu Crossing was not in a hurry, but Zhuting was. Although she could avoid the binding of the blue silver grass by relying on her speed and her snakeskin movement, if she continued like this, her physical strength consumption would far exceed the opponent's soul power consumption. I can't go on like this. Zhuting's eyes flashed with stubbornness. If she couldn't even hurt Wu Crossing, who was at the same level as her, how could she resist her fate in the family? Fourth soul skill, never shadow clone. Zhuting jumped away again, and her fourth soul ring bloomed. Her figure began to become illusory, and then several identical figures appeared around her. With the naked eye alone, it is impossible to tell which one is the real body. Looking at the 5 figures that appeared on the field, Wu Crossing was stunned, and the blue silver grass also wrapped around which figure in that moment. It was just a moment, and his blue silver vines suddenly spread out and shot at the 5 figures respectively. The separated blue silver vines were much less resilient, and the 5 figures did not need to dodge, and they easily cut off the vines with their sharp claws. Looking at the vines being cut one by one, Wu Crossing was not surprised. His eyes narrowed slightly, and then he took back all the blue silver grass. Seeing Wu Crossing taking back the blue silver vines, Zhuting was happy. It was at this moment the 5 figures separated into 2 groups and attacked Yilingling, and the other 3 figures attacked Wu Crossing with the force of horns. However, she did not expect that something would happen. When she thought Wu Crossing would save Yilingling, she saw him smile slightly. Entangle. A light voice sounded, and the blue silver grass in Wu Crossing's hand seemed to be inviting someone into a trap, and all of them entangled one of the figures attacking him. In an instant, the figure was entangled tightly and could not move. At this moment, the other figures, with their claws about to slash through the 2 people, disappeared in the air. Seeing this scene, everyone in the audience was confused. What happened? How did the 4 figures disappear? Only Zhuting was in great doubt and asked, how did you find out that this is my real body? Chapter 135 The difference between time travelers and aboriginals. Zhuting couldn't figure it out. She had already used her soul skills to the fullest extent possible, attacking the opponent and Yilingling with fake and real attacks. In addition, she also made a series of deployments, based on the feint at the beginning. Logically, shouldn't she suspect that the original body was one of the ones attacking Yilingling? How could she find her original body in an instant? Looking at the shocked Zhuting, Wu Crossing smiled and answered her questions. Although your clone cannot be distinguished by the naked eye, the clone is inferior to the original body in terms of speed, attack, and even all attributes. Am I right? Zhuting nodded, as if she had grasped something, but she just couldn't think of it for a while. And I just dispersed the vines of the blue silver grass to test the location of your original body. Wu Crossing smiled again. In an instant, Zhuting realized that the opponent's entanglement just now was not intended to attack, but to take the opportunity to judge her original body. I give up. Zhuting understood and smiled bitterly. Unexpectedly, the opponent only seemed to be able to dissolve all her attacks with a seemingly casual move. This feeling of powerlessness made her very discouraged. Seeing Zhuting's discouraged look, Wu Crossing comforted her. You don't have to be too discouraged. In fact, your performance is already very good. It's just different from the era of information bombardment in my previous life. The biggest difference is that you lack some creative imagination, which you can't understand for a while. Imagination? ZHU Zhuking was startled, and then her eyes lit up, looking at Wood Crossing expectantly. Yeah, it's imagination. Wood Crossing nodded heavily, and said like a mentor, for example, when you were avoiding the vines of the blue silver grass just now, I could use the vines to create terrain that restricted your movement, and then easily defeated you. On the other hand, why can't you use my blue silver grass to create a favorable terrain for yourself by moving? After all, there are too many vines of blue silver grass, and it is easy to tie them into a dead knot when they are entangled with each other. At that time, if I want to attack, I will inevitably consume more soul power and release more vines. In addition, it is not so easy to retract them, which is equivalent to launching an attack in a complex forest terrain. Fighting in the forest is a favorable terrain for agile attack soul masters. Even if you can't make a dead knot, you can release vines continuously and let them overlap each other to form a blind spot that prevents me from seeing you for a short time. Then, when I retract the vines, it will be the beginning of your decapitation operation. Just now when you pretended to attack me and actually attacked Ling Ling, you could have taken the opportunity to block my vision with my blue silver vines and then suddenly attack Ji Ling Ling. In my blind spot, I didn't notice your movements at the first time, so how could I immediately release the blue silver grass seeds around Ling Ling to make a spider web binding? Don't you think so? Wood Crossing's words were like opening a bright window for ZHU Zhuking, making her realize that there was such a knowledge in fighting, and that in fighting, wisdom could be used to make up for the restrained relationship between the two, so as to achieve the final victory. Yes, if I could calculate in advance and formulate tactics according to the characteristics of the opponent's martial spirit in advance, even the enemy's martial spirit could bring convenience to myself, and perhaps such a result would not occur. Is this the so-called imagination? It really gave her a deep lesson. Brother Wood Crossing, thank you for teaching Zhuking. ZHU Zhuking thanked sincerely, and at this time she sincerely admired Wood Crossing. Seeing ZHU Zhuking's look, Wood Crossing smiled and didn't care. He said, as long as you watch more and think more, and summarize your experience after each battle, you will break through your own limits sooner or later. Yeah. ZHU Zhuking nodded seriously, and then blushed and said, Brother Wood Crossing, can you let Zhuking down now? Wood Crossing heard this, and then realized that ZHU Zhuking was still entangled with his blue silver grass, just like a bondage game, outlining the other party's proud figure. Ahem, I'll let you go now. Wood Crossing coughed awkwardly, and then took back the blue silver grass. I didn't expect that this little cat was young, but her figure was so proud. With a snap, ZHU Zhuking fell to the ground and breathed a sigh of relief after she stood firm. She was very uncomfortable with being tied up like that just now. After the relief, ZHU Zhuking looked at Ning Rangrang in the distance and apologized. Rangrang, I failed. Originally, Brother Wood Crossing had controlled his strength to the same level as her, but he still lost in the end, which made her feel a little sorry for Ning Rangrang's support. It's okay, Sister Zhuking. Brother Wood Crossing is a monster. Ning Rangrang comforted her, and then glared at Wood Crossing fiercely. Although she lost the game, she had to retaliate in a while, at least to let this bad guy know how powerful she is. She surrendered in 18 minutes before, and she will end the battle in at least 17 minutes later. At the same time, looking at the two groups who were already talking and laughing, the host in the sky was stunned. He didn't expect that the two groups were friends who knew each other. But he didn't hesitate for too long, and grabbed the microphone and announced, the wonderful game finally allowed us to see Wood Crossing's martial spirit. Although it was blue silver grass, it showed unprecedented control ability. I declare that the Xing combination won this game. As the host announced the result, the audience on the stage, although they didn't know why Wood Crossing discovered his true body and dominated his opponent, also burst into warm applause. At least, they saw Wood Crossing release his martial spirit, instead of relying on brute force, to end the battle like in the previous game. This is a big leap. Under the applause and cheers of the audience, Wood Crossing, Yi Lingling, Ning Rangrang and ZHU Zhuking left from the East Passage. Yi Lingling was also full of admiration for Wu Crossing's performance. Even if he controlled his strength within a certain range, he could still easily win through skills. His man is really great and the best. Lingling, where is your husband? When he returned to the preparation area, Du Guyan found that only Yi Lingling had returned, but there was no sign of Wu Crossing, so he asked curiously. Hearing Du Guan's question and Sister Ruox's gaze, Yi Lingling's face showed a strange look. At the same time, on Shrek's side, Liu Erlang saw Zhu Zuking coming back alone and asked Zhu Zuking in surprise. However, what both parties did not know was that although the soul fighting competition was over, Wu Crossing and Ning Rangrang's special battle had just officially begun. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 136 Dark Tangsan. In a village outside Xiandao City, there is an old thatched house. The environment is dilapidated, and the air is very humid. There is a musty smell everywhere, and mosquitoes and ants are circling from time to time, and rats and ants are crawling around. But in such a place, three figures gathered here at this moment. Tangsan opened his eyes and smelled the nauseating smell in his nostrils, and his brows were deeply frowned. He didn't know how long he hadn't lived in such a bad place, and all this was because of Wu Crossing. If it wasn't for him, he wouldn't have become a street rat, and if it wasn't for him, he wouldn't have been deserted by everyone. More importantly, if it wasn't for the other party's appearance, Xiao Wu wouldn't have left him. Thinking of this, Tangsan wished that Wu Crossing would die without a burial place. How is your recovery? Looking at Tangsan who had woken up, Tang Heo on the side said thoughtfully. Because Tangsan was seriously injured yesterday, his ribs in his chest were sunken, and the collision with the titled Douluo made the other party unconscious, and he didn't wake up until now. Dat. Tangsan just shouted out, and felt the coolness on his chest. He looked down, and found that it was smeared with black disgusting stuff. This made his whole face look even worse. He was injured, and couldn't even afford to hire a healing spirit master, so he used this most primitive method. Fortunately, the effect was good. Except for a little inconvenience in movement, at least it was much better than yesterday. Of course, this was also because of the Zhuanshan Gong, which made his body recover faster than ordinary people. If it was just relying on herbs, it would never achieve such an effect. However, even so, his hatred for Wu Crossing reached an unprecedented peak. Xiao-san, are you feeling better? Just as Tangsan clenched his fists, Yu Xiaogang also spoke. Teacher. Hearing Yu Xiaogang's words, Tangsan woke up, then nodded and said, Dat, teacher, I'm much better now. That's good. Yu Xiaogang heard the words, and breathed a sigh of relief. He was really worried that Tangsan's injury would have some adverse consequences on him, and that his desire would be in vain. It's okay if you're well. Tang Heo also nodded, seeing the appearance of his father and mentor, and then taking a clear look at the surrounding environment. Tangsan asked abruptly, why do I have to recuperate here? Tangsan's words made Tang Heo and Yu Xiaogang both startled. They looked at each other. Yu Xiaogang sighed slightly and said helplessly, Xiao-san, you have been expelled from Shrek Academy by Liu Erlang. What? Tangsan heard the words. His pupils couldn't help but dilate. His face was full of disbelief. How dare that irritable woman expel him from Shrek Academy? Don't you want the honor of the academy? Even though he was crushed by Wu Crossing yesterday and was stepped on hard by him, Tangsan still had honeyjuice confidence. Without me, can the Shrek 7 Devils still be considered the Shrek 7 Devils? Without me, how far can they go in the elite competition of Advanced Soul Master Academy in the whole continent in half a year? But looking at Yu Xiaogang's sighing eyes, he had to accept this fatal blow. Wu Crossing. Tangsan gnashed his teeth and shouted, his face full of boundless anger, his fists clenched tightly. Just this ruthlessness, this anger, the chest that was finally covered with herbs began to ooze out some blood. The pain made him grimace like a monkey. Xiao-san, don't be angry, the most important thing now is to heal the wound. Looking at the blood oozing from Tangsan's chest, Tang Heo and Yu Xiaogang hurriedly advised. Tang Heo and Yu Xiaogang's hatred for Wu Crossing was no less than Tang San's. Suppressing the anger in his heart, Tang San grinned and said unwillingly, "Dad, teacher, I won't accept it. How could he be willing to hide here and there like a mouse and live such a life?" "I know." Tang Heo nodded. He was also unwilling, but now the situation forced him to do nothing, even if he was a titled Douluo. After all, he was still wanted by the Spirit Hall and could not show up openly, otherwise he would not have been hiding in the Holy Spirit Village for years. Looking at his silent father, Tang San was very depressed. Would his future be dark? No, absolutely not. He wanted revenge. He wanted to avenge his shame. He wanted Xiao Wu to return to his side. He had to defeat Wood Crossing openly in the competition, and then trample him hard. Suddenly, he thought of an idea, a terrible idea. Although there was a heavenly punishment, it was the only chance to turn the tables. A trace of sinisterness flashed in Tang San's eyes, and then he became determined. The competition with the Xiandao Royal Team half a year ago made him discover that his external soul bone 8 spider lance had another ability, that is, devouring, which could absorb the vitality and talents of other soul masters for his own use. As long as he absorbed the vitality and talents of others, he could grow up quickly and even reach the Soul King in a short time, and it was not necessarily the Soul Saint. Although doing so was against the law of nature, and was no different from an evil soul master, it was worth it to do so, in order to avenge his hatred. "Teacher, can you find a way for me to participate in the All-Continent Advanced Spirit Master Academy Elite Competition?" Tang San asked Yu Xiaogang with a ruthless look in his eyes. Yu Xiaogang was slightly stunned, and then asked in confusion, "Xiao-san, do you still want to participate in the competition?" "Of course, I will trample that guy under my feet in front of all the spirit masters in the continent," Tang San said vigorously. Looking at Tang San's confident eyes, Yu Xiaogang's eyes lit up. He was worthy of being his apprentice. After suffering such a big blow, he still had such a high fighting spirit. This was his proud disciple. After a moment of silence, Yu Xiaogang said, "There is a way. Teacher knows the principal of Kanghu Academy. It is also a formally registered academy on the continent, and has a quota for participating." Kanghu Academy? Tang San was stunned. He didn't expect that the teacher would have a dispute with the dean of Kanghu Academy. Before, he had no good feelings towards Kanghu Academy. However, in order to avenge the humiliation suffered in the past few days, joining Kanghu Academy is not a big deal. "Teacher, thank you for your help." Thinking of this, Tang San said seriously, "It doesn't matter." Yu Xiaogang waved his hand indifferently, and then said, "Xiao-san, are you sure you want to join Kanghu Academy to participate in the competition? Wood Crossing is not easy to deal with. How about hiding your strength for a few years, and letting your second martial spirit grow up, before dealing with him?" "No, teacher, don't worry, I'm confident that I can reach Soul Saint within half a year." Tang San shook his head and said firmly, letting him hide for a few years would be more painful than killing him, so how could he agree? "Xiao-san, are you telling the truth?" Hearing Tang San say that he could reach Soul Saint within half a year, both Yu Xiaogang and Tang Heo were shocked. "Yeah." Tang San nodded affirmatively. As long as he absorbed the vitality of other soul masters for his own use, it would not be difficult to reach Soul Saint. If it weren't for the fact that his father had to protect him, he would have to find a way to absorb life from him. Anyway, his father is not a good person. He even betrayed his mother, and he still wanted him to be filial? Dreaming. Chapter 137 Aroused Decision. Without the aura of the protagonist and the blessing of luck, Tang San completely began to turn evil. Wood Crossing didn't know all this. He was enjoying the battlefield cleanup from Ning Rangrong, the little witch. I don't know where this little witch learned it from, or whether she was born with a natural talent. No one can stimulate men. In just 15 minutes, Wood Crossing couldn't resist and surrendered. The opponent took back the ground from the previous competition. Slowly standing up from the ground, Ning Rangrong glanced at the pervert in front of her with a seductive look, and then sat on the high platform at the back. She stretched out her delicate and exquisite little feet wrapped in white patterned stockings, and her toes gently touched Wood Crossing's lower abdomen. "Brother Wood Crossing, help Rangrong put on shoes." The beautiful blue eyes blinked, with a look of expectation. Faced with the little witch's small request, Wu Crossing naturally would not refuse. He had just enjoyed the service to his heart's content, so what's wrong with returning the favor? After all, love can only last long when it is built on the situation of both parties, and you can't just care about your own pleasure. Wu Crossing squatted down, holding the little feet in one hand, and picking up the brown leather shoes on the ground with the other hand, and put them on carefully. Looking at Wu Crossing's serious look, Ning Rangrang's beautiful eyes were full of spring, her face was full of peach blossoms, and her heart was very sweet. She was also very satisfied to let brother Wu Crossing put on her shoes personally, and she almost had an orgasm. This feeling was like Wu Crossing being served by Ning Rangrang, and a woman would also be able to get the ultimate enjoyment of the spirit when a man she loved did something for her, not just physical pleasure. Ning Rangrang was like this at this time, both in her heart and in her spirit. She was in a particularly pleasant state. How is it? Do they fit? After putting on Ning Rangrang's shoes, Wu Crossing stood up and asked. Ning Rangrang supported herself on the platform with both hands, exerted a little force, and stepped on the ground with her feet, and nodded happily. Of course they fit. These shoes were originally the right size for her, and what she wanted was to enjoy the process of being served by brother Wu Crossing. Then let's go back. Wu Crossing smiled at Ning Rangrang, who was full of joy. Ning Rangrang nodded, then took Wu Crossing's arm, and walked towards the fighting arena hall. However, just as the two of them walked out of the empty passage and turned a corner, they saw Ling Yuan in front of them, leaning against the wall with her arms around her chest, looking at the two of them with a smile, and beside her was a beautiful woman in palace clothes, Arao. Seeing Sister Ling Yuan and Xiao Wu's mother, Ning Rangrang was immediately startled, then her face flushed, and she quickly let go of Wu Crossing's arm, looking like a guilty thief. Aha, Ling Yuan. Sister Arao, why are you here? When Wu Crossing saw them, he was also startled, and then he greeted them awkwardly. Ling Yuan rolled her eyes at Wu Crossing in annoyance. Her eyes inadvertently swept across Ning Rangrang's white silk calves, and the corners of her mouth twitched slightly. This little man is too energetic, isn't he? He is tireless, either horny or on the way to horny. However, when she thought of the scene she just saw, combined with her own experience, she couldn't help but have an idea in her mind. Does the little bastard in front of her like stockings? Why is it so fast every time he plays games with Ning Rangrang? Today is even more exaggerated. It is estimated that it took about 10 minutes. You know, yesterday, she was defeated by the little man in front of her for a whole hour. Ling Yuan seemed to have mastered the method of counterattack to save her face as a titled Douluo, and decided to try it another day. Ning Rangrang's face became even redder after being swept by Ling Yuan. Obviously, what happened just now was seen by the other party, otherwise he would not have stared at her calves. Even if Wu Crossing was thick-skinned, he didn't have time to blush. This woman must have a hobby of peeping. Benefactor, is it over? Arao's words made the two of them feel ashamed. Ahem, it's over. Wu Crossing almost choked on his own saliva. Sister Arao, what kind of lewd words are you saying? However, when I think of the fact that, although Arao has transformed, she has spent most of her time living in the Xingdao Great Forest, and has little understanding of the human world, I'm afraid she didn't say this on purpose. If it were any woman in the human world, she wouldn't say such a thing under such circumstances. Besides, there was no other meaning in Arao's eyes, as if it was a very ordinary greeting. Putting aside the embarrassment in his heart, Wu Crossing asked in confusion, Sister Arao, do you have anything to do with me? My benefactor, Arao has discussed with Xiao and decided to stay with you and serve you in the future. Arao answered sincerely. Soul beasts are very grateful. My benefactor resurrected her and allowed her to reunite with her daughter. She has no regrets in her heart. In addition, her daughter seems to have feelings for her benefactor, so she has to protect him even more. Hearing Arao's words, Wu Crossing hurriedly waved his hand and said, Sister Arao, you don't have to be like this. We are pen pals, and it's only right for us to help each other. Although he had some thoughts about Xiao's mother, he didn't want her to follow him out of gratitude. Perhaps resurrecting Arao is just a piece of cake for the benefactor, but for Arao and Xiao, it is a great favor. Arao should repay the benefactor. Arao shook her head. She knew what the benefactor meant, but she couldn't forget her gratitude. Seeing Arao being a little stubborn, Wood Crossing sighed helplessly. Perhaps this was the unique nature of soul beasts, so he had to say, okay, then I'll trouble Sister Arao in the future. Benefactor, you're welcome. Arao shook her head again. Hearing this, Wood Crossing didn't say anything else. If he wanted Arao to change, he could only slowly attack her in the future. Anyway, there was plenty of time, and he was still confident that he would grow close with time. When they returned to the fighting arena hall, Du Guyan and the others who were waiting saw Arao following Wood Crossing, and they all looked strange. Especially Du Guyan. Her mouth was raised very high. This big bad guy likes old women. When they greeted each other before, they knew that this beautiful woman was Xiao Wu's mother, and also the resurrected Arao he talked about in his diary yesterday. Now looking at this posture, the other party is probably going to stay with her man. In that case, won't she fall into the clutches of the big bad guy sooner or later? What's more, soul beasts are so simple and easy to deceive. It's not a foregone conclusion. Sister Ling Yuan didn't escape the scourge of the big bad guy. How could Sister Arao escape? Therefore, Du Guyan is the most jealous. If both mother and daughter are accepted, will there be a master and apprentice in the future? Yanzi, come with me to visit Grandpa. Wood Crossing smiled and said, as if he noticed Du Guyan's jealousy. And for this little arrogant who can't hide anything on her face, it is also the easiest to coax. One sentence makes her jealous disappear and become extremely happy. Du Guyan was stunned at first, and then her face was full of joy, just because Wood Crossing said to visit Grandpa, not to visit Senior Debu. Chapter 138 Evil Spirit Master Tang-san. Time flies like water, and 3 months have passed in a flash. Wood Crossing also finished the training in the Great Soul Fighting Arena, and returned to the Xiandao Royal Academy with everyone. At this time, he has reached the 47th level of soul power from the previous 38th level, and the speed still amazes countless people. There is no magic grass, no other shortcuts, and no rewards such as the practice cards in the diary, realm improvement cards, etc. Wood Crossing has never received a cultivation reward, only the diary holder has it. Simply relying on the innate 30th level soul power talent, it is already more exaggerated than his own women, and can be called a pervert among monsters. Ling Yuan is a little suspicious. If this little bastard doesn't fish for 3 days and dry the net for 2 days, doesn't think about playing games with women all day, and focuses on practice, can he double it? If I have such a talent, how can I indulge myself and improve my strength first? But thinking of the trump card in this guy's hand, I can understand it. Of course, in addition to this, one good thing is that this bastard doesn't have to practice hard, which is a good thing for the women around him. After all, this guy has so many women. If he really only cares about practice, it will be hard for them. Therefore, when many women were practicing mimicry and preparing for the final upgrade of the Douluo Continent high-level Soul Master Elite competition, in order to catch up with the other party, this guy was doing nothing all day long. He either teased me or RO, and only stopped when she blushed. Look, the little bastard in front of him was holding Arao's bare hand and talking about some stories of her past life. What about the legend of the white snake? What about the fairy couple? What about a Chinese ghost story, etc. Anyway, they are all about the love stories between humans and other races. In disguise, he was guiding RO, the transformed soul beast, to put aside the secular perspective and invade the other party's mind step by step. And every time RO listened to the other party talking, she would show a strange look on her charming face. This bastard, he is not so good to me. Seeing Wood Crossing taking advantage of her again, Ling Yuan was so angry that her teeth itched. In order to satisfy the little bastard in front of her, she changed her ways to please him every night these days, but she never paid so much attention to her. Sure enough, men don't cherish what they get that much, and this is absolutely true. At the same time, far away in Kanghu Academy, Tang-san was also making the final sprint. In order to avenge Wood Crossing and to win back Xiao Wu, he did something that shocked countless soul masters. That is, he madly absorbed the soul power, vitality, and even talents of others for his own use. He completely fell into the devil, and the whole person became neither human nor ghost because of the sequelae of swallowing, plus the hostility he carried, and was horrible. But one thing has not changed, that is, the shiny green hat on his head. Even with a cloth strip wrapped around it, it can't block the bright light. It's better during the day, it's not very visible, but as long as it's at night, it's like a firefly in the dark, so bright and outstanding. For this reason, under the influence of the sequelae of being swallowed, he also began to wear a black robe to cover his now hideous appearance and the green hat on his head. During this period of frantically absorbing other soul masters, his soul power level also rose rapidly like a rocket, even faster than a rocket. In just a few months, he rose from the original level 36 to the level 63. However, this exaggerated speed was noticed by the previous Luoxia god. Seeing such an outstanding successor, he threw a divine test signal to him. On the other hand, Bibidong of the Spirit Hall was originally preparing to complete the next Luoxia god test. Suddenly, she found that the information of Luoxia god became ethereal, as if she had been abandoned by this god. This made her full of doubts and confused. She had never heard of a sudden interruption when the divine test was in progress. However, since Luoxia god gave up on her, Bibidong didn't care. She had a diary copy and didn't look down on the previous god. It was better to give up, and she didn't have to think about completing the test all day. Compared with the opportunity of the diary copy, let alone the second level god, even the god king, she didn't care now. Those who are truly powerful and possess the diary copy can destroy the Douluo Continent and the god realm with just a breath. But what makes her a little unhappy is that, apart from the Spirit Hall Council, after having nothing to do, she feels that time passes too slowly, and she can't wait to meet Wood Crossing, the Black Fan. No, Wood Crossing, the owner of the diary. There were several times when she wanted to go to Xiandao City, but in the end she held back, in order to leave a good impression on the other party, and wait for a few more months. The free time did not last long. Bibidong received a letter from the Spirit Hall branch of the Berek Kingdom. Looking at the letter in her hand, Bibidong frowned and had a bad idea in her mind. She seemed to understand something, as if she knew why the Rakshasa god suddenly gave up her as the candidate for successor. It was only because the content of the letter in her hand involved some strange things. That is, many soul masters disappeared in the Berek Kingdom without any signs, and when they were found, they either had no soul power and became idiots, or their vitality disappeared and became corpses. Evil soul master. Bibidong saw this and immediately thought of something. This situation was very similar to the evil soul master, and Luoxia god liked this the most. It seems that there is an evil soul master in the Berek Kingdom that she doesn't know about, so that many civilian soul masters who have registered their information in the Spirit Hall have been cruelly harvested. If it were the previous Bibidong, she might not take such a thing to heart, but now it is different from the past. Bibidong learned about the vastness of the world through the diary copy, and she no longer had the idea of destroying Douluo Continent. Moreover, her relationship with her daughter has recovered and improved a lot. She has a vision for the future. Therefore, after seeing the appearance of the evil soul master, she immediately summoned Yu Guan and Gui Mei. Your Majesty the Pope. Yu Guan and Gui Mei said respectfully. In the recent contact, Yu Guan and Gui Mei found that His Majesty the Pope was easier to get along with than before, and they didn't know if it was an illusion. Yu Guan, Gui Mei, you can take a look at this letter first. Bibidong took the secret report from the red-robed leader and handed it to Yu Guan. Yu Guan and Gui Mei were also a little shocked when they saw the contents of the letter. Evil Soul Master? They hadn't seen him for a long time, and they didn't expect him to make a comeback. Your Majesty, what do you mean? Yu Guan asked carefully while holding the letter. Bibidong was silent for a while, and then said, send 2 elders to the Berek Kingdom to investigate. If it is an evil soul master, destroy him directly. Chapter 139 Live Broadcast. 2 elders were sent from the Spirit Hall to the Berek Kingdom to investigate the possible appearance of an evil spirit master. Originally, they thought they could quickly find out the cause, but after a few months, they had no clue. This evil spirit master was very clever and specifically targeted civilian spirit masters. Once he was deployed, he would not hesitate at all. After absorbing the spirit power and vitality of a spirit master, he would hide for a while. And it seemed that there were inexplicable strong men covering him. Even if they went to the place where the incident happened at the first time, they did not leave any clues. In the past few months, the evil spirit masters seemed to have noticed their existence and began to slowly become silent. As a last resort, the two elders had to report the situation to His Holiness the Pope. Looking at the message sent back, Bibi Dong frowned slightly. She always felt that this matter was a bit complicated. But the elite competition of the Advanced Spirit Master Academy of the continent has arrived as scheduled. Now the most important thing is to make the grand event in front of you a success. After all, she knows that this competition is different from the past. Wu Crossing, the owner of the diary, will broadcast the entire process live, and the audience are all women from Zhutian Diary. As the Pope, she is also one of the organizers of the competition. Of course, she can't mess this up. Otherwise, this shame will be thrown out of Douluo Continent. Not to mention that she feels embarrassed. Even the diary holders of Douluo Continent will feel very embarrassed. Now it is not about individuals, but the whole world. They will prosper together and suffer together. Even if Poseidon Island has been cut off from the mainland, Bosexi also plans to set foot on that unfamiliar territory when the finals come. There are still 3 days left before the opening of the competition. Suruoxi, Du Guyan, and Yilingling also gathered together to walk out of the mimicry training. After several months of hard training, Suruoxi's soul power has reached level 56, with 2 yellow, 1 purple and 2 red soul rings. Du Guyan, soul power level 54, soul rings 2 yellow, 1 purple, 1 black and 1 red. Yilingling, soul power level 55, soul rings 2 yellow, 1 purple, 1 black and 1 red. These women were promoted so quickly, in addition to the diary rewards, more because they did not want to be compared with outsiders, nor did they want to be looked down upon by the women in the diary, so they used this to prove themselves. As for Wu Crossing himself, although he did not practice hard, his soul power was not bad at all, reaching level 53, with 3 black and 2 red soul rings. Seeing that they were all at the level of Soul Kings, and their soul rings were much higher than the original, Wu Crossing was a little emotional. This time, the elite competition of the Advanced Soul Master Academy of the whole continent was probably the highest standard and most intense one in history. He did not believe that the diary holders of other academies were still standing still. 3 days passed in a flash, and today was the opening ceremony of the elite competition of the Advanced Soul Master Academy of the whole continent. As the largest event in the Soul Master world held every 5 years, at this time, with the Xiandao Great Soul Fighting Arena as the center, almost 1/3 of Xiandao City was a scene of thousands of people. Since a few days ago, all the hotels in Xiandao City have been full of outsiders, and the population of the city has more than doubled. This shows how attractive the elite competition of advanced soul masters of the whole continent is. Fortunately, for the Xiandao Royal Academy, even if they arrived in Xiandao City the day before the opening, there was a special royal residence, but what Wu Crossing didn't expect was that they actually lived in Yuxuan. That's right, it was Yuxuan managed by the beautiful woman Tang Yuhe, a place to teach royal family members court etiquette. Yesterday, he also met this voluptuous lady. It must be said that she has a perfect figure and charming temperament, and is the favorite of KO thieves. However, due to the need to entertain royal guests from various countries and the opening performance work, she was very busy, and they just greeted each other hurriedly. The opening ceremony was held in the Xiandao Grand Fighting Soul Arena in Xiandao City, which was no different from the original. As the main arena of the Xiandao division, the Xiandao Grand Fighting Soul Arena has stopped all Fighting Soul competitions a month ago and carried out internal renovations. All the sub-areas in the Grand Fighting Soul Arena will be combined with the main Fighting Soul Center to form an extremely huge competition venue. In the next period of time, all the Xiandao division qualifiers will be held here. In the early morning, before the sun rose from the east, the renovated Xiandao Great Soul Fighting Arena had already welcomed countless spectators. After Wu Crossing got up, he washed up and went to the hall of Yuxuan with the girls to wait for the instructor to call everyone to go to the arena. At the same time, he also opened the diary panel, selected the live broadcast interface, and broadcast the whole process. The diary holders from different worlds learned from their diaries yesterday that today was the Soul Master World Grand Meeting of the diary owners Douluo world, and they were very interested in the grand occasion from other worlds, and they opened their diary copies as soon as possible. Dear pen pals, we meet again. Now is Beijing time, morning. No, now is Xiandao time, 7:15 am. I'm now in a place called Yuxun, which is the place where the Xiandao royal family specially trains court etiquette. As a member of the Xiandao Royal Academy, I was arranged to live here after arriving yesterday. After Wood Crossing turned on the live broadcast, he first smiled and greeted the diary copy holders in front of the camera of the diary panel, and then said to Su Ruoxi and the other women around him, Ruoxi, Yanzi, Lingling, look here. Hearing this, the three women immediately retracted their gazes from the diary copies in their hands, smiled in the direction of their men, and even stretched out their hands to wave. Hello, everyone. They can see that the figures of the three women appear on Wood Crossing's diary panel. Obviously, at this time, the diary holders from all over the continent and all the diary holders of the Xianzangmen can see their appearance from the live broadcast. Let me introduce you. This is Ruoxi, this is Yanzi, and this is Lingling. They are all members of the Xiandao royal team too, and are also diary holders. Ahem, and my girlfriends. Wood Crossing introduced the women around him to the diary holders one by one, but when he introduced the relationship, he felt a little embarrassed. But when he thought that they were all his women anyway, there was nothing to be embarrassed about, so he became open-minded. Su Ruoxi, Du Guan, and Yi Lingling blushed slightly when they heard the introduction of their men. Although they were very embarrassed and shy, they felt very sweet in their hearts. Looking at the three women on the live screen and the girlfriend Wood Crossing mentioned, many diary holders were amazed. This diary owner is really a pervert. It has only been a short time since he hooked up with three women and became their boyfriends. Of course, although they thought so, they also understood what the diary owner represented. How many women would not be moved by this? Chapter 140. The competition is about to begin. Shrek Academy, led by Liu Erlong, they headed towards the Xiandao Great Soul Fighting Arena. However, on the way, their attention was not on the crowds gathered around them, but on the diary copies in their hands. When they saw the live broadcast from Wood Crossing's first-person perspective, they were all very curious. After all, they had never seen Wood Crossing broadcast live before, and it was obvious that the screen was synchronized in real time in their hands. They had a new understanding of the function of the diary copy. However, they soon saw the introduction in the live broadcast screen. When Wood Crossing introduced Su Ruoxi and the other two as his girlfriends, Xiao Wu and the others felt ashamed for each other, and jealousy surged up unconsciously. Ning Rangrang even wanted to fly to Yuxun. She also wanted brother Wood Crossing to introduce herself like this in front of the diary holders. Wuhan Hall. This little black fan. Bibi Dong looked at the women who appeared on the screen, and her mouth twitched a few times, and she cursed with a bad face. Didn't you say that I'm your favorite? It's only been a short time since you forgot about this pope and turned to be unclear with other women. When you, a little black fan, come to the spirit hall, I will definitely make you look good. I don't know why, but Bibi Dong was also jealous. It may be because at the beginning, the owner of the diary was full of expectations to say long live the spirit hall and long live the pope, but now the gap is getting bigger and bigger, which makes her feel that every woman has. Xianshu College. Wow, sister, Wood Crossing is so handsome. Looking at the vision of Wood Crossing appearing on the screen, Shujua put her hands together. Pink hearts appeared in her eyes, and she looked like a fangirl. Looking at her sister's fangirl look, Xu Bing's face suddenly darkened, and she cursed. Shujua, can you not be so embarrassing? She felt ashamed for her sister. She had already been embarrassed and thrown out of the Douluo world. If she saw the owner of the diary later, she would have to stick to him crazily. When she thought of her sister's active situation, she shuddered all over. But to be honest, the diary owner, regardless of his strength, is indeed very handsome, on the same level as the readers. She couldn't help but look at the live broadcast screen and the diary copy for a few more times. Blazing Academy. Huo Wu also walked out of a hotel where she was staying. Because she was too focused on the diary copy in her hand, she accidentally bumped into Huo Washang in front of her. Xiao Wu, what's wrong with you? Huo Washang looked at the absent-minded Huo Wu and frowned. He found that his sister had become weird since she walked out of the hotel. Now she didn't even look at her steps, which made him full of doubts. Could it be because the competition is about to start and the pressure is too great, causing his sister to be a little nervous? But it shouldn't be. How could his sister be the kind of person who would be stage fright? She should be excited. Huo Wu naturally didn't explain, but just shook her head casually, indicating that she was fine, and let her brother continue to lead the way in front. Wood Crossing, I must let you know the strength of our blazing academy. Huo Wu looked at the diary owner who was broadcasting live, and clenched her fists hard. Previously, the other party said that among the qualifying teams in the Xiandao division, their blazing fire comprehensive was the weakest, which made her feel uneasy. Therefore, in the past 6 months, she has been training madly and practicing madly, and her strength has directly surpassed the Soul Sect and reached the level of Soul King. Xiandao Palace. Qian Ringsu also came to the palace from the prince's mansion early and prepared to attend the opening ceremony of the competition with Emperor Zuyi. However, as Wood Crossing's live broadcast started, she, who had always disguised herself well, made mistakes frequently and lost her previous humble appearance of knowing the general situation and etiquette. This surprised the ministers in the court, and even Emperor Zuyi was no exception, saying, "King, didn't you rest well yesterday?" "Father, I didn't rest well. I just thought about whether there were any omissions in the matters of the opening ceremony." Qian Ringsu came back to her senses and hurriedly bowed to answer. "That's good." Upon hearing this, Emperor Zuyi nodded and said nothing more. Seeing that the matter was muddled, Qian Ringsu looked at Wood Crossing, who was broadcasting live in her diary copy, and then closed it. She didn't watch the live broadcast for the time being. It wouldn't be too late to watch it after dealing with the courtiers and guests. Besides, she would be able to see Wood Crossing, the owner of the diary, from her seat in a while. It didn't take too long. When Wood Crossing introduced the Soul Master competition to the diary holders, Yu Feng and other members also came to the hall. Under the leadership of the other party, the whole team also headed towards the Xiandao Great Soul Fighting Arena. Due to the restrictions of the diary rules, Wood Crossing didn't speak along the way, but just turned on the live broadcast, so that the diary holders from Zhutian Diary could see the grand occasion of the Soul Masters in the other world. The diary system is also very powerful. The live broadcast screen is different from his previous life. It is 360 degrees without dead angles, and the current situation of the entire Xiandao city is in full view. After a journey of more than 10 minutes, the group soon arrived at the Great Soul Fighting Arena, where countless staff members were already waiting. Under the command and arrangement of the staff, their team came to the special rest area of the participating academy. Because they represent the face of the Royal Academy, they are of course in the front of all participating academies, waiting to be the first to enter the venue when the opening ceremony begins. While waiting to enter the venue in his team, Wood Crossing found that several eyes were shot from all directions. Wood Crossing followed the gaze and found the members of the participating academies. Obviously, these people were diary holders. Looking at the gazers, Wood Crossing smiled at them one by one, which was a simple response to them. "Wow, sister, look." Wood Crossing smiled at me. Shu Yue shouted happily when she saw Wood Crossing smiling and nodding at her. When Shu Bing'er heard it, she immediately covered her forehead and didn't have the face to look at her sister. Before she could speak, several teammates beside her had already asked first. "Jua, who is Wood Crossing?" Several girls asked Shu Yue curiously, and countless question marks flashed in their minds. As teammates, they usually stay together and have never seen or heard the live treasure in the team talk about a name they have never heard of. And judging from Jua's appearance, the other party seemed to be a boy, which made them even more curious. You know, Xianshu College is full of female students. Except for participating in the soul fighting competition, they basically cannot come into contact with men. But now from the other party's tone, it seems that they are very familiar with each other. Even the captain knows him. That's the man. Shujua pointed at Wood Crossing in front of the left, full of excitement. Xiandao Royal College. Looking in the direction Shuchu pointed, the girls were stunned. They recognized which college they were from at a glance from the clothes of the college team. Chapter 141 Gloomy Atmosphere. Have their Shianshu College and Shiandao Royal College ever had any intersection? It seems. Probably. It should have never happened. If I remember correctly, there was not even any soul fighting competition or exchange of ideas. But everyone has lived together for several years, and they have never heard the captain and Yu Guang mention the name Wu Crossing. Could it be that the captain and Yu were childhood sweethearts before they entered Shianshu College? Thinking of the possibility of such a relationship, the eyes of a group of young ladies from Shianshu College lit up, and they looked at Wu Crossing carefully. Handsome. Very handsome. Very handsome. Equivalent to the reader. After seeing Wu Crossing's appearance clearly, the young ladies all showed a meaningful look. No wonder Yu was so excited, and no wonder the captain couldn't help but take a few more glances. Knowing such a handsome guy, he didn't even introduce him to them. Are they still sisters? Captain, it's okay, eat alone. Qiu Ruishu smiled and joked. Shubinga was slightly stunned when she heard this, and then she saw the other party winking at her. Her forehead twitched a few times, and she said unhappily, "What do you mean by eating alone? I don't know what you are talking about, you dead girl." "Oh, look at our captain, I told you that he is shy." Qiu Ruishu showed a sly smile on her face, and shouted to the sisters. Gukingbo and the other girls heard this, and said with a smile, Captain, don't be embarrassed, what's wrong with childhood sweethearts? We won't laugh at you." Goddamn embarrassed, goddamn childhood sweethearts. Shubinga's face darkened. This group of sluts, like they have never seen a man. Although she knew that she was misunderstood by her teammates, she did not explain. The existence of the diary copy made her unable to explain the reason. She could only glare at her sister fiercely. "Seeing the good things you did, now you can't wash it off, even if you jump into the yellow river." Shuchua's delicate and lovely face was full of grievances. Why did you blame her? It was not her misunderstanding. Shianshu College, as one of the few teams composed entirely of women, and each of them is outstanding in appearance, a rare beauty, naturally attracts widespread attention from major colleges. Wu Crossing looked at the group of beautiful women from Shianshu College smiling at him, waved his hand, and his mind drifted over. However, before he could respond, he felt a pain in his waist, and when he looked down, he saw a bare hand giving him a 360-degree rotating massage without dead ends. From the pink little hand, it can be seen that it was Du Guyan's care, and it is obvious that this girl is jealous again. Don't ask Wu Crossing how to distinguish. For his own women, even if he closes his eyes, he can make an accurate judgment based on touch. "Yanzi, what are you doing?" Wu Crossing didn't know whether to laugh or cry, and grabbed her little hand. "You are not allowed to look." Du Guyan snorted and pouted. This big bad guy, now he has so many women, and he is still attracting bees and butterflies everywhere. If he doesn't show his feelings, I'm afraid his women can form 33 competition teams in 5 years. Ahem. Yanzi, what are you thinking about? We are still live streaming. I'm just introducing it to you. Wu Crossing said in a low voice. After hearing the live streaming, Du Guyan finally realized that her little action was seen by all the diary holders. When she thought of her coquettish appearance being seen by the beauties from all over the world, her face flushed. She wanted to withdraw her hand, but found that Wu Crossing, the big bad guy, was holding it tightly. Looking at the live streaming screen, countless diary holders felt that they should not flip through the copy today. How did they find out that they were not here to see the grand occasion of the Soul Masters in the Douluo world, but more like eating the dog food fed by the diary owner? This little bastard. Bibi Dong saw this scene on the screen and cursed angrily. But she didn't know it was good until she cursed, because she was now preparing for the opening ceremony of the Wuhan City competition area. Sure enough, when she glanced at it, Yuguan, Gimri, and a group of elders all looked at her in a daze. What happened to the Pope? At the opening ceremony, the first sentence was about this little bastard who made them confused. What does that mean? Looking at the confused subordinates, Bibi Dong felt that he, the Pope, had lost face. He cleared his throat and said without blushing or panting, "This Pope is testing his voice. Many subordinates were stunned again when they heard this, but they lowered their heads and dared not say anything more. Let's get back to the point. In the Xiandao City competition area, after the episode, suddenly, there were bursts of exclamations from the back. Wood Crossing looked over along the commotion and found that the last team had arrived. And this team was none other than a group of people from Shrek Academy. This school uniform is awesome. Flanders, good aesthetics. As soon as he saw it, Wood Crossing focused on everyone's clothes. No wonder it caused a commotion among the crowd. With this outfit, he was the most handsome guy in the audience wherever he went. The other party knew how to attract investment and advertising. Teacher Erlong, Xiao, Zhutian, look at this. At this time, the Shrek group of people's faces turned green, especially Ningrangrong, who felt ashamed. At the beginning, it was okay, and not many people pointed fingers, but as more and more people came, especially when they arrived at the competition venue, they felt that they were being looked at like monkeys. It was just because their school uniforms were really too eye-catching. Liu Erlang listened to Ningrangrong's words, and then looked at Xiao, Zhutian and others who looked indignant, and a look of embarrassment appeared on her face. This school uniform is indeed a bit unbearable to look at, but it has nothing to do with her. The main reason is that the college has no money, and Flanders is the one who makes the decision to save expenses. But she couldn't pretend she didn't see it, so she coughed awkwardly and said, "I'll discuss this with the dean. You guys should bear with it for now. After the first game makes the academy famous and attracts advertisements, we will immediately change the current uniforms." Liu Erlang spoke, and everyone could only helplessly look at Wood Crossing, even avoiding his eyes, for fear that his bad side would be seen. However, the idea was good, but the reality was very cruel. It was supposed to make the academy famous, but it didn't succeed. Just like the original book, it drew lots, and met the Xiandao royal team second. Of course, Wood Crossing noticed it the first time he arrived at Shrek Academy, but he soon realized that something was wrong. There was an inexplicable hostility shooting towards him. He couldn't help but retract his gaze and look around for the gloomy aura that flashed from him just now. Wood Crossing was not unfamiliar with this aura at all, and was very familiar with it. It was very similar to the one emitted by Tang-san half a year ago, but it was stronger than before. Tang-san, he's here too? Chapter 142, Tang-san's Great Change. Wood Crossing's change was noticed by everyone at the first time. Seeing his eyes narrowed slightly in the live broadcast, they were all shocked. Suruoxi also noticed it at the first time and asked subconsciously, "Honey, what's wrong?" "Nothing." Wood Crossing shook his head, but his eyes were looking at the student from a certain academy, who was wrapped in a black robe and even had a mask on his face, revealing only a pair of eyes. Although the other party was wrapped tightly, and looked a little bloated, and was completely different from the previous Tang-san, he gave him an unusually familiar aura, especially the undisguised murderous intent, which was obviously directed at him. And since he traveled through time for so long, he could count his enemies on one hand, that is, Tang-san and his son, and Uzaya gang. "Are you from Kanghu Academy?" Wood Crossing glanced at the academy sign held by the staff in front of the team and said something. At the same time, just as he was guessing the strange decoration of the black-robed academy, a message came from his diary friend column. "Ling Yuan, Wood Crossing, the black-robed man you are looking at now is a little bit wrong." Looking at the message sent by Ling Yuan, Wood Crossing raised his eyebrows. Even Ling Yuan noticed that the other party was different. It seemed that this person was not that simple. "What do you mean?" Wood Crossing asked calmly. "This guy's aura is terrible. His soul power is very chaotic, and his soul power is at least Soul Emperor." Ling Yuan replied in a deep voice. "Soul Emperor?" Wood Crossing was completely stunned when he heard Ling Yuan's words. What a joke, Soul Emperor. Although he was not afraid, he was invincible under Soul Douluo now, and he could exchange 1-for-1 among Soul Douluo, but there was no mention of such a person in the original book. The reason why Wood Crossing did not dare to think of the other party as Tang-san was because the aura revealed by the other party was very evil, completely different from the little punk in his memory. He was still in a hypocritical and sanctimonious state, which was completely different from the moment he could tell that the other party was not a good person. The most important point is that no matter from the figure or shape, they are not related, even from the purple black skin hidden in the sleeves of the other party. They are very different. Could it be that, because the little punk was expelled from Shrek Academy, a butterfly effect occurred, and such a spirit master appeared? After all, in the original novel, the appearance of Kanghu Academy was mainly used as a stepping stone for Tangsen to show off. Now that the protagonist, the son of luck, is missing, he doesn't think it's strange that there is a little deviation. I need to pay attention to this guy later. Wu Crossing pondered in his heart. He didn't want any accidents to happen. While Wu Crossing was thinking, a loud voice of the team entering the venue sounded, interrupting him. Please welcome the 28 teams of this competition. At the host's shout, the staff quickly held up the sign and led the members of the Xiandao Royal Team 2 to step into the opening ceremony square. The center of the square was crowded with people, and the surroundings were full of spectators. On the high platform in the center were Emperor Zuyi, Ning Fengzi, the leader of the Seven Treasures Glazed Sect, and Ceres, the platinum leader of the Spirit Hall. When Wu Crossing followed the team into the venue, the director in charge of the huge screen on the high platform understood people's hearts very well and slowly displayed the 28 teams one by one. As soon as Wu Crossing stepped into the arena, several people in the audience looked over. Among them were Ning Fengzi, Kan Ringsu, and the Platinum Master of the Spirit Hall, Ceres. Master Ning, Master Sarah, what are you doing? As if he had noticed the huge reaction of the few people, Emperor Zuyi stroked his beard and asked curiously. Emperor Zuyi didn't know about Wu Crossing's existence, because it was his younger brother, Prince Zhu Crossing, who was managing the Xiandao Royal Academy. Your Majesty, this competition should be the most likely to win the championship in the history of the empire. Ning Fengzi said with a smile. Although Ceres didn't say anything, it was rare that he didn't refute. This was also because he received some instructions from the Pope. It seemed that the elder Ling Yuan was guarding a certain soul master and asked them, the Xiandao Spirit Hall branch, to fully cooperate with the other party if possible. Being able to send the elders of the Spirit Hall to protect him personally and asking them to fully cooperate, it was obvious that the identity of that soul master was very important to His Holiness the Pope. Oh. Emperor Zuyi was stunned. He was even more curious when he saw that Sereth was silent. Which team is sect leader Ning talking about? Ning Fengzi smiled slightly and replied, of course I'm talking about the Xiandao Royal Academy that your Majesty founded. Xiandao Royal Academy. Emperor Zuyi was dumbfounded. How could he, as an emperor, not know what kind of character the Xiandao Royal Academy had? Although the record was not second or third in the past, it was all due to political maneuvers, in order to give enough face to the two empires, and not lose too badly. If it really relied on its own strength, Xiandao Royal Academy might not be able to qualify without a seeded team. This is purely the author's opinion. I'm only starting from the perspective of the strength shown in the anime. Yu Xianheng's team may not be able to beat the 5th ranked Blazing Academy, 1st Shenfeng Academy, 2nd, Leiting Academy, 3rd 2, Shrek and Xianshu Academy, 5th, Blazing Academy. Even though this year's Xiandao Royal Academy has Yu Xianheng from the Blow Lightning Tyrannosaurus Rex family and the granddaughter of Poison Douluo, they did not expect to be able to defeat the Spirit Hall Academy. He has heard about the terrifying strength of the 3rd generation of the Spirit Hall's gold class several years ago. Yes, Your Majesty. Ning Fengzi smiled respectfully. He learned from his daughter that Wu Crossing had a lot of things. With his talent and spirit rings, it is not difficult for him to win the championship. Now he can't wait to see the other party's game. This sentence made Emperor Zuyi confused again, but he didn't ask any more questions. However, soon, the Snowy Knight Emperor, who was sitting in the main seat, found something wrong. He saw two members of the second team of Xiandao Royal Academy who entered the venue first, and they looked very familiar to him. He remembered that the two were members of the seed team, so why were they assigned to the second team? How would Douluo Continent feel about this? He thought that his brother had made a mess of it, and glared at him, wanting to ask him something. Prince Xing looked at the Snowy Knight Emperor who was looking at him, sweating on his forehead, and waved his hand helplessly. He also followed Douluo Continent's suggestion. to let him assign his precious granddaughter and the auxiliary spirit master with the 9-heart begonia martial spirit to the second team. He really didn't know anything about the rest of the things, and who knew what Douluo King was thinking. Looking at the helpless look of Prince Xing, the Snowy Night Emperor was furious, but when he saw Douluo King's smiling eyes, he breathed a sigh of relief. Fortunately, he was not dissatisfied with his granddaughter being assigned to the second team by his brother. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 143 Bibi Dong's relatives come. So boring. I feel sleepy. This kind of formal speech is what I hate the most. I don't know if it's the same as in my previous life. It takes half an hour to talk. Zhu Yi talked for half an hour. Ning Fengxi talked for half an hour, and then went to Ceres for another half an hour. Woohoo, we can end the morning and spread flowers. The 28 teams gathered and entered the venue, standing in the undetermined area. As the Emperor of the Xiandao Empire, Emperor Zhu Yi began to announce the opening speech of this competition. Wu Crossing fiddled with the diary panel in front of him, yawning boredly, but he never thought that the complaints in his heart would be heard directly in the live broadcast screen. This shocked him, and the sleepiness was swept away. Fuck. This live broadcast can actually use the voice of the heart instead of the voice. Wu Crossing was surprised, and his inner thoughts emerged and sounded again in the live broadcast interface. And the diary holders who were watching the live broadcast also laughed after hearing the voice coming from it. They never thought that the owner of the diary would have such a funny side, and would actually resist such polite words, which made the other party feel sleepy. Kan Ringsu, who was on the right side of the platform, held her face with one hand, crossed her legs leisurely, and slid the diary copy in front of her with the other hand. When she heard the other party's complaints, the corners of her mouth slightly raised. The diary owner in front of her was so interesting that she couldn't help but want to communicate with him. At the same time, Bibi Dong, who was talking eloquently and inspiring a group of students in the spirit hall, almost choked when she heard the complaints from the diary copy. Isn't her situation at this time the same as Zhu Yi's, except that the two are not in the same place? Your Majesty? Looking at the Pope, who suddenly paused in his speech, Yu Guan and Gui Mei standing on both sides were stunned, wondering why His Majesty suddenly stopped. Similarly, the golden third generation of the Spirit Hall Academy and a group of students, inspired by the Pope, were all like chicken blood, determined to win honor for the Spirit Hall. But they found that the opening ceremony suddenly became quiet, and they were all stunned. Except for Hulina. She was the first one to see the teacher laugh out loud with her mouth closed, but fortunately she reacted quickly enough to cover her mouth. Despite this, Bibi Dong on the high platform still noticed it. After her mouth twitched a few times, she glared at the apprentice unhappily and said, "Anyway, I hope you will achieve excellent results in the next competition. The speech is over." After saying that the speech was over, she deliberately bit her tone. It is not known whether she was angry with Hulina or Wu Crossing, the little bastard. Returning to the throne, the Pope's scepter in his hand hit the ground fiercely. Such a dramatic scene immediately stunned the academy, and also made Yu Guan and Gui Mei look confused. His Holiness the Pope has been more talkative recently, but he always does some inexplicable things. Just like the previous little bastard, and now the speech has just begun, but he announced the end. Could it be that her period has come? Maybe it is, otherwise why would His Holiness be so unhappy? Thinking of this, Yu Guan, who seemed to have seen through everything, slowly approached Bibi Dong, bowed and said, "Your Holiness, if you are not feeling well, leave it to me and Lao Gui." What the hell? Bibi Dong looked at Yu Guan with concern, and countless question marks flashed in her mind. She was not feeling well. When did she feel unwell? Why didn't she know? "Your Holiness, aren't you feeling unwell?" Yu Guan saw the doubtful Pope, and a drop of cold sweat ran down his forehead. Could it be that he guessed wrong? Bibi Dong didn't know what Yu Guan was thinking. If he knew, he might really be heartbroken. Sure enough, after being indoctrinated by Emperor Zhu Yi with several bowls of poisonous chicken soup, Ning Fengxi gave a speech. If it had been before, Wood Crossing would have been drowsy listening to it. But now, knowing that he could send a live voice through his heart and let the diary holders hear it, he began to interact with his pen pals. Ahem, everyone, I just talked nonsense. It was not my intention at all. This event was well organized. Fireworks, balloons, pigeons. I think it is also unique and special for some of you. Wood Crossing's words made many diary holders nod their heads. Indeed, for some of the women, the scene in front of them was very shocking, especially for the diary holders from the end of the world in the ancient world, who had never seen such a grand occasion. It can be regarded as a real experience of the customs from another world. But then again, the grand event held every 5 years across the continent, and as the capital of the Xiandao Empire, one of the two empires, it would be a shame to its reputation if it did not have such specifications. Just now, I carefully observed the other 27 teams, except Xiandao Royal Team 2. It is worth noting that one of the students of Kanghu College is different from what I saw when I watched the anime. There is no such guy in the original work. As Wood Crossing talked, the student in black robes soon appeared in the live broadcast interface. When he saw that the figure of that person clearly appeared on the live broadcast screen as he looked in his sight, Wood Crossing was a little surprised again. This live broadcast function is really powerful. Not only can the voice become voice, but now it can also capture the screen at a fixed point, which is simply invincible. I don't know if it's because Tang San was expelled that some butterfly effects occurred. All the pen pals participating in the Xiandao City competition, you must be careful. This guy's not simple. According to the soul power fluctuations generated by Lingyu and Douluo from him, he is at least a soul emperor. If you meet him, you must deal with him with all your strength, so that I can also understand what this guy's identity is. Hearing Wood Crossing say that the guy in front of them was at least a soul emperor, the diary holders participating in the competition narrowed their eyes and looked towards the area where Kanghu College was located. Whether it was Kan Rinksu on the high platform or the diary holders of the major colleges below, they all looked at that guy at the same time. This is Bibi Dong saw the black-robed student inside through the live broadcast screen and stood up subconsciously. She saw what was going on from the purple lines on the other party's hands, which were exactly the same as the sequely when she swallowed Kyang Sunji before. And judging from the other party's lines, there were quite a few soul masters swallowed, otherwise it would not be so deep. However, her actions made Yu Guan and Gui Mei confused again, and they smiled bitterly in their hearts. What happened to His Holiness the Pope? Why did he always play cards out of the ordinary? They didn't know how to deal with it. But this time, she ignored Yu Guan and Gui Mei and immediately sent a message to Ling Yuan. Readers who were reading it raised their eyebrows and immediately resumed the explosive update. Chapter 144. The palms and backs of the hands are all flesh. This station just received the news, which was passed on by the beautiful Donja. I have some guesses about this guy's identity. I just don't dare to believe my eyes, and it's a bit unbelievable. If I'm not wrong, he is Tang San. What? As Wood Crossing said this, whether it was the beauties in Douluo world or the diary holders from other worlds, they all exclaimed at this moment. Tang San, the son of destiny in Douluo world before, was not unfamiliar to them. Wood Crossing uploaded the video, and he appeared several times, but how could he become like this now? Not to mention those women who only watched the video. Even Xiao Wu, Ning Rangrong, and ZHU Zhu King widened their eyes when they heard it. They have been together for so long. Even if the other party is wrapped in a black robe now, no matter how you look at it, he has nothing to do with Tang San. I didn't believe it at first, but the beautiful Donja reminded me a little, so I thought of him. Do you remember what I told you at the beginning? In the original work, after the decisive battle with the Spirit Hall team, he used the 8 Spider Lance to absorb the vitality and talents of Nana and others through secret means. This is the situation he is in now. Wood Crossing did not think of Tang San at first, but he just got the news from Bibi Dong from Ling Yuan that this guy became like this after devouring many soul masters. This also confirms what Ling Yuan said at the beginning, that the soul power fluctuations on the other party were very chaotic. However, the soul masters with the ability to devour, except for the evil soul masters, can be counted one by one. The reason why he did not consider the evil soul masters is that at this point in time, there are no evil soul masters at all, and they are all imprisoned in the slaughter city. Of course, the butterfly effect is not ruled out, but what makes him so convinced is that he detected the gloomy aura that flashed by. In addition to the feud with Tang-san, he has no conflict with any evil soul master, and there is no reason for him to target himself. I didn't expect it. I really didn't expect that this little bastard would be completely possessed by the devil in order to deal with me. Wu Crossing felt a little emotional in his heart. As the protagonist, he didn't have the aura of the protagonist. After being blessed by luck, he would actually be blackened. However, with his extremely hypocritical and double-standard personality, as well as his morbid love for Xiao Wu, it is not difficult to understand that he has turned evil. At the same time, Tang-san also noticed the gazes from all directions, and his brows could not help but frown. However, he did not show much, and lowered his head. The fact that he devoured the vitality of other spirit masters, and fed back his spirit power to himself had been spotted by the spirit hall. Before he could avenge his shame, he tried his best to hide his identity. At the same time, in his opinion, if it were not for Wu Crossing, he would not have fallen into this state, nor would he have become a ghost. It was all that guy's fault. Tang-san clenched his fists, and his eyes inadvertently raised to look in the direction of Wu Crossing. The next second, he found that the other party's eyes were smiling at him, and his pupils froze instantly. In other words, his inadvertent look at Wu Crossing. Tang-san never expected that it would be captured by the live broadcast screen and reflected in the eyes of all diary holders. It's really Tang-san. Seeing the eyes full of deep hatred, whether it was Xiao Wu, Ning Rangrong, or Zhu Zuking and Liu Erlong, they all took a deep breath. They never thought that Tang-san used to be humble despite his hypocrisy, but now he exudes such a terrible aura. Is he not hiding himself anymore? Xiao Wu's heart trembled. Fortunately, she met brother Wu Crossing, otherwise, she would have been deceived by him until now. Thinking of how she had foolishly fallen into the other party's trap, she shuddered and got goosebumps all over her body. When everyone was shocked that the black-robed man in front of them was Tang-san, the opening speech was read out, and the highest level Soul Master competition in the entire continent was just about to begin. The first match of the first round of the preliminaries, Wuhun Academy vs. Xing Academy. The second match of the first round of the preliminaries, Auckland Academy vs. Guangzhou Academy. The third match of the first round of the preliminaries, Xiandao Royal Academy Team 2 vs. Shrek Academy. The fourth match of the first round of the preliminaries. After a round of drawing lots, the 28 teams were revealed for the first day of the competition, but something unexpected happened. Not to mention the first match of the first round of the preliminaries, Wuhun Academy. The third match was very interesting. Wu Crossing's team played against Shrek Academy. This bastard, I'm afraid he's going to fight with them. Hearing that her own academy would play against the owner of the diary in the first match, Liu Erlong was dumbfounded. Not only Liu Erlong, Xiao Wu and the other girls, as well as Jiangsu and the rest of the team were all shocked. Now that Tang-san has been expelled and joined Wuhun Academy, how come he is still drawn with Xiandao Royal Team 2 just like in the original book? Cheating. We jointly report that the author deliberately targeted them. They also want to get rid of this ugly school uniform through the first match, but now doesn't it mean that they have to wear it for a few more days? It's unbearable for a day, let alone a few days. Brother Wu Crossing, you don't want your woman to wear such ugly clothes to embarrass you, right? Ning Rangrang. Brother Wu Crossing, you don't want Xiao Wu to be so pitiful, right? Xiao Wu. Brother Wu Crossing, you don't want Zhu King to feel bad, right? Zhu King. The results of the first round of the competition were just announced, and some were happy, while others were sad. For example, after Tang-san saw that he played in the first game of the first round, although he couldn't deal with Wu Crossing immediately, he was able to end the battle with a crushing momentum in the first game, leaving him no chance to show off like in the big fighting spirit field, which was also a comfortable thing. With him around, you Wu Crossing, don't dream of being in the limelight. The previous humiliation, I have to slowly return to the other party, let that guy die in despair. For example, Shu Binger of Xianshu College, Huo Wu of Chihua College, Meng Yiran of Yishao College, etc. all breathed a sigh of relief after seeing that their first opponent was not the second team of Xiandao Royal College. Although they really wanted to communicate with Wu Crossing, they didn't want to lose the first game. This would be a big blow to their academy. Only the people from Shrek Academy looked unhappy. Xiao Wu and the other two girls even sent messages to Wu Crossing. Seeing the resentful tone of the three girls, Wu Crossing didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He didn't expect that it would be the same as the original book. Seraph didn't wash his hands after going to the toilet, and they still smelled so bad. Wu Crossing had no choice but to comfort the three girls and said that he would not play and let them play by themselves. Winning means sleeping with you, losing means being left behind. There's nothing you can do. The palms and backs of your hands are all made of flesh. Chapter 145, Showing Off Superiority. Please invite both players to enter the arena. With a loud female voice, the first Soul Master competition that represented the attention of the entire continent officially began. Interestingly, the host of this Xiandao competition was Douluo, who was invited by the Empire to ignite the hearts of the audience, rather than the original host from the Xiandao Great Soul Arena. The moment he saw Douluo, Wu Crossing couldn't help but have a strange thought in his mind. Wouldn't she also have a diary copy? Because he found that the other party smiled at him as soon as she appeared on the stage. If it weren't for the diary copy, she would only flirt with him in front of tens of thousands of viewers. If this wasn't the case, he would live broadcast eating chocolate upside down. However, just when Wu Crossing was surprised that this diary system really included all the beauties in the Douluo Continent animation, his attention soon shifted from Douluo to the arena. The players of Kanghu Academy, including Tang San, had already entered the arena. Hey, why is that guy dressed like this? Wrapping himself up tightly, is he trying to attract everyone's attention? Very good, this guy has successfully attracted me. I thought only the uniforms of Shrek Academy were unique. As Tang San stepped onto the stage, he immediately attracted countless discussions from the audience. The main reason was that the other party's dress was completely different from the uniforms of his own academy, and it was so mysterious that it would be strange if it didn't attract attention. Not to mention the audience was surprised. Even the Snow Knight Emperor, Ning Fengzi, and Ceres, who were sitting in the chairman's seat, were attracted. Although the competition did not stipulate that the uniforms of the designated academy must be worn, this was the first time to see such a weird dress. Facing the discussions of the crowd and the eyes focused on him, Tang San enjoyed it very much, but his current appearance was too ugly, and he dared not show his true face to others. But as long as he could crush his opponent with a force of thunder and show his absolute strength, it would not matter what he looked like in the future. After all, in this world, strength is the most important thing, and the strong are respected. Facing Tang San, who attracted everyone's attention and became the focus of the whole audience, the remaining 6 students of Kanghu Academy were very unhappy. But when they thought of the terrifying strength of the guy in front of them, they dared not say anything. The other party was a wolf destroyer, who challenged the 7 of them alone and finally severely injured his former captain. Later, he completely disappeared in the academy. So far, they have been walking on thin ice, fearing that they would follow in his footsteps. Wu Crossing, tremble well next time. Tang San looked at Wu Crossing and the audience provocatively, and a creepy smile appeared at the corner of his mouth under the mask. From the other party's half smiley eyes before, he judged that the other party might have discovered his identity, so he simply stopped hiding his murderous intentions. Seeing Tang San's provocative eyes towards him, Wu Crossing smiled and opened his mouth lightly, a jumping clown. This guy. Seeing the other party's mouth shape, Tang San's fists clenched even more tightly, but he soon calmed down. Now he was asked to jump for a while longer, but I wondered if he could maintain his strength after seeing his own strength. The game begins. Both sides release their spirits. Douluo's white wings flew in the air for a circle, and then announced the start of the game. As soon as she finished speaking, Tang San's figure flashed, and he immediately rushed towards the 7 students of Purple Star Academy. Wu Crossing was able to shine in the soul fighting competition without opening his spirit, so he could do the same. Therefore, Tang San just used the ghost shadow of his previous life and came to the front of his opponents in an instant. Seeing this strangely dressed contestant, who didn't even open his spirit, rushing towards his opponent, the audience was all stunned, and then a discussion broke out. Fuck, this guy doesn't open his spirit? Does he think he is Wu Crossing, who doesn't open his spirit? I'm afraid this guy also wants to learn from Wu Crossing, but I don't know if he is so powerful. Obviously, many viewers have watched the soul fighting competition in the Xiandao Soul Field and knew Wu Crossing a few months ago. Facing the opponent who rushed over in the blink of an eye, the students of Purple Star Academy were startled at first, and then they showed joy. They didn't expect to meet a young man in the first round who dared to rush into their camp without even opening his martial spirit. Mysterious Jade Hand. But before they could be happy for a while, a voice rang out, and everyone's pupils shrank. They only felt a flash in front of their eyes, and they were hit by a huge impact, and the whole person flew out of the ring. From the beginning to the end, it took less than a minute, and all the people of Purple Star Academy lay outside the ring and wailed. Suddenly, the originally noisy arena became silent in an instant, and you could hear a pin drop. Seeing such a scene, Emperor Zhu Yi took a breath of cold air. It was completely beyond his expectations. Ning Fengzi was also shocked in his heart. He didn't think that there would be such a result. After a moment of silence, the audience once again started to argue. No way. Is this guy that strong? Unbelievable. I thought he was using strange clothes to attract everyone's attention, but I didn't expect he really has such strength. Too exaggerated. No wonder he wants to hide himself. He doesn't want to be famous. Not necessarily. Maybe he is too ashamed to see people. Listening to the many compliments, Tang San's mouth curled up, and then he looked at Wu Crossing with a provocative look again. Idiot. Wu Crossing said contemptuously. He let him show off his superiority with what he had left. Seeing Wu Crossing's disdainful look, Tang San's originally proud face immediately sank. It was as if his fist was hitting cotton, which made him very crazy. Referee, what are you still standing there for? Can you announce the result? Tang San was very unhappy because he didn't expect the result he wanted, and his tone became very aggressive. Dao Dao frowned when she heard Tang San's impatient tone. She knew that this guy was a so-called protagonist of Douluo World. Although she hated him in her heart, as the host, she had to pick up the microphone and announced that Kanghu Academy won. After announcing the result, Tang San left the stage expressionlessly. He never looked at his teammates. In his eyes, these people were just there to make up the number of people for him to participate in the competition. Such performance made some sects, families, and royal families who were originally fond of talents change their minds after seeing his behavior. This guy is strong, but he is too arrogant. He even ignores his teammates. His nature is too bad. It is not worth them to win over and cultivate. Chapter 146 Blind Everyone. Dear pen pals from other worlds, how is the cultivation system of Douluo Continent? Are you particularly impressed? Are you shocked? But don't be too surprised, the third game is really interesting. As the first game of the first round ended, the second game also began. Wu Crossing also turned into a commentator, popularizing the martial spirits of the Douluo world to many women. Compared with the first game, the second game had more highlights. When the two sides were equal in strength, various martial spirits competed against each other, and various soul skills were used, allowing the diary holders from other worlds to see the peculiarity of martial spirits. It must be said that, apart from the premise that gods can be seriously injured by hidden weapons, the viewing experience is indeed very good. As time goes by, the third game is about to start. Xiandao Royal Team 2 vs Shrek Academy Team. When the members of the two teams stepped onto the ring, Ning Fengzi, who was sitting in the VIP seat, was slightly stunned. He didn't see Wu Crossing enter the ring. What happened? Du Gubo was the same. Seeing Wu Crossing who didn't play, he also frowned slightly. How come the grandson-in-law he had chosen was nowhere to be seen in the first match? He was looking forward to this match the most. Not to mention them, even the many diary holders who participated in the competition were dumbfounded. Of course, no one could have imagined that the reason why Wuhun Crossing did not play was entirely because the 2 teams and the 6 diary holders were all his women, and he could not help anyone, so he simply became a referee in the live broadcast room. Master Ning, what's wrong? Noticing the surprise of Ning Fengzi, Emperor Zhu beside him couldn't help but ask curiously. Qiandao Royal Team 2 is an academy run by the imperial family, and he still pays great attention to it. Hearing this, Ning Fengzi shook his head and smiled. Your Majesty, Fengzi just didn't see the young man named Wuhun Crossing from Team 2. Oh. Emperor Zhu was surprised. He had heard from the other party before that Team 2 might win the championship. Could it be related to the young man named Wuhun Crossing? Just as he was about to ask, he soon noticed Ning Rangrang on the field. Master Ning, that is your daughter, right? Yes, Your Majesty, it is my daughter. Ning Fengzi nodded. So, Shrek Academy was trained by your clan. Emperor Zhu was shocked again. Ning Fengzi shook his head and said, that's not the case. Emperor Zhu was startled again when he heard this, and at this moment, the competition was announced to begin. The 3rd game of the first round of the preliminaries officially begins. The moment Dao Dao finished shouting, the 3 girls from the 2nd team and the 3 beauties of Shrek all became solemn. Compared to Wuhun Crossing's comfort, there was an undercurrent on the stage, especially Su Ruoxi, Du Guyan, or Yi Lingling. This battle involves the face of their men, and they must not lose. Similarly, Xiao Wu, Ning Rangrong, Zhu Zuking and others did not want to lose. Brother Wuhun Crossing did not play, and if they still couldn't win, it would be too sorry for this time. In a certain seat, Tang San, who had just finished the competition, looked at Wuhun Crossing and smiled coldly. Was that guy afraid of him? He didn't even dare to play. However, just when he was so confident, the next second, as the martial spirit on the field was activated, he was stunned and shocked countless audiences. On the stage, soul rings flashing with endless red light surrounded the field. It was so brilliant and dazzling. Whether it was the audience in the ordinary seats, or the Emperor Zhu, Ning Fengzi, Saras, Qin Ringsu, Du Gubo in the VIP seats, or even the diary holders who participated in the competition, at this moment, they were all deeply shocked. Shrek Academy. Xiao Wu, yellow purple black red, 5 ring sulking. Zhu Zuking, yellow purple black red, 5 ring sulking. Ning Rangrong, yellow purple red, 5 ring sulking. Qiandao Royal Team 2. Du Guan, yellow purple black red, 5 ring sulking. Yi Lingling, yellow purple black red, 5 ring sulking. Su Ruoxi, yellow purple red, also a 5 ring sulking. Such a scene, let alone them, even their teammates were all dumbfounded, thinking that they had not woken up yet and were dreaming. This, how is this possible? Am I dazzled? All Soul Kings? What's the matter with Soul Kings? Look at the color of the soul ring, it's actually red. What kind of soul ring is red? Please tell me if you know. Thank you. Damu Bei, Oscar, Mahanjan, they all stared at the soul rings under their feet, and they all fell into self-doubt. Zhan Minghu and all the team members were the same, with their mouths wide open, looking incredulous. After months of hard training in the simulated environment, not to mention the Soul King, what the hell is a red soul ring? This. Even Emperor Zhu was staring at the dazzling red soul rings on the field, and was so shocked that he couldn't say a word. Ning Fengzi was the same. He almost didn't recognize his own daughter. Red 100,000 year soul rings. His daughter actually has 2. When we met half a year ago, wasn't she only level 39 Soul Master? Half a year later, she reached Soul King and had 2 100,000 year soul rings. When did 100,000 year soul rings become available wholesale? A full 8 100,000 year soul rings. Gurang's mouth twitched. As a titled Douluo, he didn't even have a 100,000 year soul ring. He didn't expect that there would be so many red soul rings in this Soul Master competition. Is he unable to keep up with the times? Dugu Boran was stunned. A 100,000 year soul ring is a treasure for Soul Masters. It's something that can only be encountered by chance, but now it seems to be free. However, he was soon ecstatic. His precious granddaughter also had a 100,000 year soul ring. To be able to achieve this, it must be related to his grandson-in-law. Although Qin Ringsu didn't say anything, Her eyes showed how shocked she was. Let's not talk about the soul rings for now, but isn't this soul power level too exaggerated? Her innate soul power is level 20. She is the only one in the Douluo Continent world, and now she has barely reached the Soul Emperor level. Moreover, she is older than them. Can she still have fun? Cheating. Cheating. Huo and other diary players in the audience shouted at the dazzling 100,000-year soul rings on the field. They are also diary holders, but they only have 3 100,000-year soul ring fragments. How can you let them be calm? At this moment, the eyes they looked at Wu Crossing were full of resentment and hatred. You don't treat them as pen pals at all. You keep saying that you help each other, but you open a back door for them like this? They don't believe that so many 100,000-year soul rings can appear as their own diary rewards. They can only come from Wu Crossing's hands. Sister, I don't care. I want to be Wu Crossing's woman too. Shujua came back to her senses after being in a trance, but she was different and vowed. I feel like no one is watching. Say something. Chapter 147 Tactics and Countermeasures. Unfair. Too unfair. At the same time, in the Wuhan City Division and the Xingluo Empire Division, women like Ulina and Zhu Zuan all turned green when they saw the 100,000-year soul rings flashing red light on the live screen. The owner of the diary is really too hateful. The soul power contained in 100,000 years can increase the soul master's level by much, not to mention how much. Even if you have a good talent, you still need to practice hard for a year. They worked hard and buried their heads in hard practice, but they are not as good as others who go through the back door. It's strange that they can balance their hearts. They admit that they are lucky to get the golden legend, but it's too much to treat them differently. Moreover, the 100,000-year soul ring can not only increase soul power, but also has 2 soul skills. The help to the soul master can be imagined. What happened in front of them made them not want to work hard, but it was still real to throw themselves into the arms. Bibi Dong watched the live broadcast, and her forehead twitched again and again. 100,000 years of soul rings. This little black fan is really generous. She only has one, and it was taken from Erao's soul beast. It's true that people get angry when compared to others, and goods are thrown away when compared to goods. If she had known this, she should have come directly to her door. Now in the end, she didn't get any advantage, and was funded by the Black Fan to create several potential enemies. Of course, for Tang San, after being confused, his face was extremely ugly and gloomy. Just because his limelight was taken away, who would remember him just now with the visual impact of 800,000-year spirit rings? The most important thing is, how did these women reach the Soul King stage, and where did the spirit rings come from? Anyone who is not stupid knows that it is related to Wu Crossing. At this time, Tang San began to become uneasy. Zhao Wu and the others are all Soul Kings. Does it mean that the other party is more powerful? He only has a soul power of level 68, which can't be foolproof. Thinking of this, Tang San's eyes flashed with a trace of cruelty. No, why did he become what he is now? In order to be able to avenge the previous shame, in order to trample Wu Crossing hard under his feet. Therefore, he does not allow any accidents to happen, and he will never allow himself to be slapped in the face again. He can only carry out that plan. Father, don't blame me. Blame Wu Crossing. Blame you for betraying your mother. Tang San planned to poison Tang Heo, and then use the 8-spider lance to detoxify him, and absorb the soul power for his own use. With the Tang sect's poisoning methods, he was confident that his father would not notice. According to the lottery, he would meet Wu Crossing in the 3rd round. Time was tight, and he could not neglect it. Tang San did not even watch the game, but turned and left the arena to prepare the poison. Father, it's time to drink the medicine. Just after Tang San left, the competition on the ring began under the attention of all the spectators. Follow the original tactics, Du Guyan said, and use the 3rd soul ring without hesitation, shining. This was not the first time the two sides fought each other. They knew the previous soul skills of each other, and they remembered Du Guyan's 3rd soul skill. When Zhao Wu saw Du Guyan use the 3rd soul skill, she did not need to say anything, and activated the 3rd soul skill. Teleport. Zhao Wu, who was standing on Shrek's side a second ago, suddenly disappeared. Yes, she disappeared, not because of the high-speed movement, that could not be captured by the eyes. As Xiao Wu disappeared, Zhen Minghu's spirit ring lit up without thinking. Second spirit skill, Crazy Lion Roar. His spirit skill originally had a distance limit. If it was used in this way, it would have little effect when it was transmitted to the eyes of the Shrek people. However, he did not release it towards Shrek and others, but towards Du Guyan. What's going on? He released a sonic attack on his own team members? My god, what is that guy doing? Internal strife. There was a conflict right after the game started. Chai and our royal team too. Is it because of unfair distribution? Seeing that Zhen Minghu actually released a sonic attack on his own captain, a group of spectators were stunned. He had an internal conflict in the Spirit Master competition, and in front of Emperor Zuyi, and the leader of the Seven Treasures Glazed sect. Aren't you afraid of being punished after the game? Only some people can understand why Zhen Minghu did this. For example, Du Gubo, Du Rong, Ning Fengzi, and a group of elders from the Shai and Dao Royal Academy's education committee. The moment they saw Xiao Wu teleport, they thought of something. Sure enough, as they expected, Xiao Wu's figure appeared in front of Du Guyan, and she was about to use her charm ability. But she felt a huge sound wave coming, and rushed into her ears, so she couldn't help but cover her ears, and the charm soul skill was not used. Knowing that Du Guyan's large-scale poisonous fog was too restrictive to the Shrek Academy, and it was used in the case of the Soul King, Xiao Wu's goal was to control Du Guyan first, and prevent the opponent from using this soul skill. Then, through 5 consecutive invincible golden bodies, Xiao Wu's temporary limit, she resisted the attacks from the other members for 15 seconds, to buy time for Zhu King. With Zhu King's current strength, he can clear out Su Ruoxi and Li Lingling, the 2 most threatening auxiliary soul masters, in the shortest time, so as to achieve a situation that is beneficial to Shrek Academy. These 15 seconds were enough for Zhu King to clear the 2 women out of the ring. After all, those soul masters could not keep up with Zhu King's actions. Without the assistance of Su Ruoxi and Li Lingling, victory was a foregone conclusion. But she never thought that her plan would be attacked by sonic waves before it was implemented, and the charm was not used. It was also during this pause that Du Guyan's third soul skill was released. With her as the center, the thick poisonous fog began to spread around. Not good. Looking at the spreading poisonous fog, Xiao Wu said in her heart, and her figure disappeared again, and returned to her team. Zhu King, who had rushed towards Su Ruoxi and Yi Lingling with the blessing of Ning Rangrang's second soul skill, also stopped when she saw the poisonous fog spreading, gave up the decapitation plan, and returned to the team. Looking at the spreading green poisonous fog, the hearts of the women were heavy. Unexpectedly, the opponent had expected that she would act like this from the beginning, and the Soul Master who attacked with sonic waves on the opposite side had been waiting for Xiao Wu to fall into the trap. If she hadn't reacted quickly enough and used teleportation again, she would have been infected by the poisonous mist. Seeing this scene on the ring, everyone finally realized that the Shai and Dao Royal Team 2 was not in conflict, but was trying to resolve the opponent's attack. This tactic is so well coordinated. I didn't expect that such an attack could be used to resolve the crisis that might occur in my team. I'm ignorant. The Shai and Dao Royal Team 2 is ahead of the enemy. The crowd of spectators were all surprised by the tactics of the Shai and Dao Royal Team 2. The Shai and Dao Emperor Soul, the continent, the Royal Academy, dominates the clouds. The Shai and Dao Emperor Soul, the continent, the Royal Academy, dominates the clouds. As the cheerleaders of the Shai and Dao Royal Academy saw this scene, they all shouted loud slogans. Chapter 148, Ning Rangrang's heaven-defying assistance. In the face of the excellent performance of the Royal second team, Emperor Zuyi stroked his beard with a happy face. The situation in front of him could be said to be a great honor for him in front of his people and the royal families of the major vassal states. As the Emperor of the Empire, how could he not be happy? How could he not be happy? But soon, Emperor Zuyi's eyes fell on the glazed tower in Ning Rangrang's hand that was emitting 9-color light. Because Ning Rangrang had just blessed Zhu King with the second soul skill, the glazed tower behind her completely covered her, allowing the other party to see the 9-story high pagoda. Master Ning, your daughter's martial soul does not look like the 7 treasures glazed tower. Emperor Zuli said with a shocked face. The strength of the Soul King plus 200,000 year soul rings is already exaggerated enough, and now even the martial soul has become 9 layers. Yes, your majesty, my daughter's martial soul is more appropriately called the 9 treasures glazed tower. Ning Fengzi replied with a smile, and he seemed very happy about his daughter's evolved martial soul. That was a legend in their sect. If Wu Crossing hadn't said there was only 1 kilo tulip, he would have wanted to sell everything he had to buy a batch. 9 treasures glazed pagoda. After getting the confirmation, Emperor Zuli was shocked. He had naturally heard some rumors about the 9 treasures glazed pagoda, but he didn't expect to see it in the competition. This year's elite competition of the Advanced Soul Master Academy really brought him too many surprises. If he hadn't considered that the other party had only one daughter and needed to marry into the family, he would have wanted his son Zuking to make a marriage contract with Ning Rangrang. Of course, he could never have imagined that Ning Fengzi didn't even want to marry into the family. He wanted his daughter to marry Wu Crossing. As for the other party's women, he didn't care about them like Du Gubo. It was impossible to not care at all, but he, as a father, knew very well what kind of personality his precious daughter had. His daughter had already fallen into it, and it was obviously impossible to change her mind. In the field, the spread of the poisonous fog continued, and the range soon reached Xiao Wu and the others. Seeing the poisonous fog that had not stopped, Xiao Wu and the others all changed their faces and shouted, "Let's retreat quickly." As soon as the voice fell, everyone retreated and came to the edge of the ring. It was at this time that the poisonous fog stopped, which made them all breathe a sigh of relief. Fortunately, the range of this poisonous fog could not cover the entire venue, otherwise they would have nowhere to stay. Despite this, they were also very troubled by the poisonous fog. Try the Realga wine from before. Dame Yubei, who had always been like a transparent person, couldn't help but speak. As the captain of the academy and the commander of the team, he was now smiling bitterly in his heart. He was only level 43 soul power, but Xiao Wu, Rangrang, Zhu King and the others had already reached the level of Soul King. In such a battle, it can be said that his ability to influence the battle situation is very small. The gap between Soul King and Soul Lord, plus the suppression brought by soul rings, is not just talk. He didn't even have a soul ring of 10,000 years, but his opponent had already revealed multiple soul rings of 100,000 years. This is also the main reason why Xiao Wu was able to go deep behind the enemy, find an ambush, and successfully return to the team. Zanming, whose sonic attack had little effect on Xiao Wu. If they were on equal terms, she would have no chance to use teleportation again. You can try. Several people nodded. Then they took out several jars of Realga wine from the soul guide and threw them into the poisonous fog. Fatty, take advantage of now. Mahanjan spread his wings without hesitation, and the phoenix fire line had already penetrated the Realga wine in the air. Under the burning of the flames, some smells visible to the naked eye began to spread. You still want to take advantage of the offline, but you underestimate me too much. Du Guyan, standing in the poisonous fog, looked at the actions of Shrek Academy with a touch of disdain on his face. His own poisonous fog had long been improved, and his martial soul had evolved into the green phosphorus Snake King. How could a mere Realga wine dissolve it? Sure enough, this time the Realga wine did not appear as in the Soto Great Fighting Soul Arena, and did not evaporate the poisonous fog in front of him. It seems that using Realga wine is no longer feasible. Seeing that the poisonous fog did not change, Dame Yubei and his companions became more depressed. Such a situation is very unfavorable to their Shrek Academy. Dao host, please open the protective shield. At this time, Xiao Wu shouted to Dao in the sky. Dao, who was in shock, heard Xiao Wu shout, and she came back to her senses. Although this battle had just started, she was in a state of sighing, and didn't know how to explain it. However, now she didn't need to improve the atmosphere, and everyone's attention was all on the two teams below. Okay. Although Dao didn't understand why the other party had such a request, he also hurriedly asked the staff to open the protective shield. Next, she also understood why the protective shield had to be opened. Fengsun, the new member who replaced Tang San, Rangrang, it's up to you. Xiao Wu said heavily. Ning Rang nodded, looking like she was in trouble. 9 treasures turn into glazed glass. 3 days. Soul. 5 days. Attack. As Ning Rang chanted, her 1,000-year soul ring lit up first, followed by the 100,000-year soul ring. The 100,000-year soul ring is used. You're using the 5th soul skill so soon. I wonder what kind of heaven-defying effect the blessing of the 100,000-year soul ring has. As the first auxiliary soul master in the entire continent, the 7 treasure glazed glass sect brings the most exaggerated increase to soul masters. Now, with the assistance of the 100,000-year soul ring, what level can it reach? Feng Zhuan is a level 38 soul master, and his strength is not very high, but with the assistance of Ning Rang, his soul power has grown rapidly, and reached the level of a high-level soul master. 3rd soul skill, Howling Wind. Feng Zhuan took a deep breath, and then a gust of wind blew out of his mouth. In an instant, the surrounding wind blew violently, blowing the fog all over the sky. With the blessing of the 100,000-year soul ring, he activated the high-level soul master, and this soul skill easily reached the level of the soul king, and even surpassed it. The whistling wind, the harsh sound swept the entire ring, and the poisonous fog, that was originally all over the sky, was blown away in a moment, and blew towards the protective shield. The members of the Xiandao second team who were originally standing in the poisonous fog were also exposed to everyone's eyes. No wonder you let me open the protective shield. Seeing this, Dao Dao's white hands trembled, and he almost let the microphone fall from the high school. If this poisonous fog blows to the audience, those people will not be invaded by the poisonous fog. Feeling the painful wind on her face, Du Guyan's face changed. She didn't expect that Shrek Academy still had a soul master with wind attributes, who blew away all her poisonous fog. Originally, it was just a high-level soul master, and it was far from being able to do this, but the other party had Ning Rang, and with her blessing, it could be easily completed. The 7 treasures glazed sect, who is worthy of being known as the continent's #1 auxiliary soul master, really should not be underestimated. Chapter 149, Twin Martial Spirits Appear. Without the poisonous fog, the Xiandao Royal Team 2 was at a disadvantage in everyone's eyes. After all, the entire team only had one attacking Soul King, Du Guyan, and he was not the main attacker, but more of a control. On the other hand, Shrek had one strong attacking Soul King, and one agile attacking Soul King. Apart from the Soul King, the overall strength of the Royal Team 2 was much weaker than that of Shrek. They were all high-level Soul Lords, but Shrek had all Soul Masters. Looking at the entire participating team, this was a unique existence. Perhaps only the Wuhun Academy could compare. It looks like the second team is going to lose. Looking at the members of the Xiandao Royal Team 2 who were exposed to everyone's vision in the field, Huo Wu said hesitantly, and her eyes inadvertently swept over Wu Crossing who was broadcasting live there. Shubinga did the same, looking at Wood Crossing on the seat, and then looked at the center of the field. Shrek Academy is indeed the protagonist group. Without the diary owner sitting in charge, the Xiandao team seemed to be getting worse. Since we can't rely on tactics to launch a sneak attack, we should attack steadily and clear these members out of the arena first. Shrek Academy, seeing that the first set of tactics did not succeed, launched the second set of tactics. Ning Rang once again demonstrated her powerful auxiliary ability, adding all the enhanced attributes to all the team members. In an instant, Xiao Wu, Zhu Zuking, Damu Bei, and Mahanjan followed closely behind, and rushed to the Xiandao Royal Team 2. The 4th soul skill, Heroic Praise. The 5th soul skill, Soul Breaking Song. While Ning Rang used her soul skills to give her teammates a huge attribute improvement, Su Ruoxi also took action, and as soon as she took action, she continuously bloomed her 100,000-year soul ring. The red light flashed, and the colorful heroic praise fell on the team members, and all their attributes were also greatly improved. At the same time, the soul-breaking song turned into a melody, and fell on the attacking Shrek students, weakening their attributes. A heart-breaking song. Where can I find a soulmate in the world? Yi Lingling did not fall behind. A huge 9-hearted begonia emerged, hanging behind her, covering her teammates. Although the difference in soul power put them at a disadvantage, they also had advantages. That is, they could launch a full-scale attack without worry, and even if they were injured, they could be treated in the first time. The life-for-life style of play gave them the upper hand. Wonderful, too wonderful. In the audience, everyone was silent in the face of the dazzling collision in the field. The overall strength of the Xiandao Royal Team 2 is slightly lower than that of Shrek Academy, but now it seems to be better. But is this really the case? The answer is of course not. Those strong men who were watching the game saw the doorway at a glance. Even if the Xiandao Royal Team 2 took a life-for-life attack and had the upper hand, they could not pose a substantial threat to the Tussol Kings. As long as the physical strength is consumed in all aspects, they will become more and more tired, and at that time, it will be the beginning of losing. As they expected, after several rounds of confrontation, the Xiandao Royal Team 2 went from having a slight advantage at the beginning to being equal to each other, and now showing signs of being at a disadvantage. Shrek fought harder and harder, but the Xiandao Royal Team 2 was exhausted. Even Du Guyan began to struggle at this moment. After all, she had to control the entire field, and couldn't let Xiao Wu and Zhu Zuking defeat the team members one by one. One negligence could lead to a complete defeat. But it was so difficult to stop the attacks of the two women, and beads of sweat kept appearing on her forehead. Bang, bang. Several figures flew out of the ring. They were Zhen Menghu and others and Dame Yu Bei. The Xiandao Royal Team 2 adopted the method of dying together. This was also the only best result they could get for the team at this time. Before their soul power was exhausted, they dragged down all the opponents they could, even if they had to fight with injuries and hug their opponents tightly, and they had to fall outside the ring together. Seeing the members of Xiandao Royal Team 2 doing this, they were all surprised. Incredible, the members of Xiandao Royal Team 2 adopted a tactic of dying together. Dao Dao looked at the members of both sides who flew off the field, and shouted in amazement, while holding the microphone. With the departure of several people, only 6 women were left in the field soon. 3 against 3. It seemed that they were back to the stage of confrontation again. It's over. Gu Rong looked at this scene and said softly. Although there was a narrow escape, Rong Rong finally won the first game. Yes, it's over. Ning Fengzi, who was next to him, nodded in the same way after hearing Gu Rong's words. The number of people on both sides on the ring was equal, but anyone with a discerning eye could see that Xiandao Royal Team 2 was already at an absolute disadvantage. This was mainly reflected in the martial arts of both sides. It was not that the martial arts of the 3 women of Xiandao Royal Team 2 were not as good as the 3 women of Shrek Academy. It was because the 2 attacking soul masters were too dominant. The advantage of the 2 auxiliary soul masters was that the more people they had, the more advantageous they would be. But now it was obviously not the case, and it might have become a burden. After all, they can threaten the 2 auxiliary spirit masters, but the other party cannot threaten Ning Rong Rong. As long as Du Guyan is restrained, the other team member can launch an attack and win the game easily. Alas, Du Gu Bo sighed helplessly when he saw this. He also understood that when the 2 sides were equal in strength, Shrek Academy had an absolute advantage. However, Yan An's performance was very good, and she tried her best. Of course, the performance of the entire Xiandao Royal Team second was not bad, and the tactic of dying together was even more commendable. Otherwise there would not be a 3-on-3 situation on the field now. At least it was 3-on-4, or 3-on-5. 3 people from Xiandao Royal Academy, 4 or 5 people from Shrek Academy. Only Wood Crossing in the audience looked at the scene on the field with a strange smile on his face. His smile naturally attracted the attention of the diary holders who were watching the live broadcast. This smile was wrong. Bibi Dong was stunned. She felt that the matter was not simple. Qian Ringsu, Xu Binger, and Huo Wu also discovered it at the first time. No, there must be something fishy. But they couldn't figure out what went wrong for a moment. With the current situation of Xiandao Team 2, there was really no chance of winning. Zuking. Xiao shouted softly to Zhu Zuking. Zhu Zuking nodded and rushed towards Yilingling. Almost at the same time, the light emitted by Ning Rong Rong's 9 treasures glazed tower also enveloped Zhu Zuking. Her soul power was now almost exhausted and could not bless Xiao's attributes, but it was enough for now. At this time, Xiao dodged and used the third soul skill to teleport again. We won. Xiao appeared in front of Du Guyan, with explosive fleshy long legs, and was about to lock the opponent's neck. However, just as she was moving, something unexpected happened. A soft hum came, causing her whole body to pause slightly in the air. Fourth soul skill, Storm Feather Blade. Su Ruox's original martial soul disappeared, and a martial soul similar to a bird appeared behind her. Chapter 150 National Boyfriend Wood Crossing. What? When Su Ruox's second martial soul appeared, everyone's eyes widened, and they stood up from their seats subconsciously. Twin martial souls. It's actually twin martial souls. One auxiliary system plus one strong attack system. If the 100,000 year spirit ring is the most precious treasure in the world of spirit masters, the twin martial souls are even more heaven defying. This is not something that can be obtained with strength. That little girl actually has such a high talent. As for the group of diary holders in the Douluo world, their eyes are about to pop out. Nonsense. Too much nonsense. The 100,000 year spirit ring is enough to make them breathe unsmoothly, and now there are twin martial souls. Can they still have fun? At this moment, whether it is Kan Ringsu in the VIP seat, Shubinga, Huo Wu and others in the audience, or Bibi Dong, Hulina and others who are watching the live broadcast, they all look at Wood Crossing, clenching their fists, gritting their teeth, and wishing to bite off a piece of flesh from the other party. However, this time they misunderstood each other. The 100,000 year spirit ring was his work, but the twin martial spirits were not his work. It was all because of Su Ruox's good luck, and with the fragment lent out by Ling Yun, they just got a complete martial spirit yesterday. It can be said that this was the martial spirit obtained by the efforts of 4 women who worked diligently for 10 months. Wu Xingke had never received such a reward, let alone any help, which was more unfair than Dai, but the diary holders didn't know, and just thought it was another masterpiece of that guy. In short, Wood Crossing was bound to take the blame. What they said was that the author couldn't do anything. Isn't that girl an auxiliary spirit master? How can there be a second spirit? Who can tell me what's going on? Readers who understand, please tell me, how can a spirit master have 2 completely different spirits? I also ask the great god to popularize science. How can the girl on the stage have a bird spirit? After a moment of silence, countless spectators started to make noise again. As for the twin spirits, they had no contact with them at all, let alone the meaning of them. I just felt that a soul master used 2 completely different martial spirits, and it was like a knife stabbing his butt. I opened my eyes. Who is this girl? After being shocked, Emperor Zuyi still couldn't hold back his inner impulse, and glanced at the education committee of Xiandao Royal Academy not far away and asked if he could barely suppress his emotions for 100,000 years. He could not control his emotions at all with twin martial spirits. Meng Shenji of the education committee saw Emperor Zuyi looking at him and asking about Su Ruoxi. His old face was embarrassed, and now he was also confused. How could he know that there would be twin martial spirits in the second team of the academy he managed? He knew Su Ruoxi and had a deep memory. After all, she was the auxiliary soul master second only to Yi Lingling in the academy, but in the past few years, he had never heard her use a second martial spirit. Meng Shenji then looked at another elder of the education committee beside him. The elder also sweated and looked at the instructor below, layer after layer, until it reached Yu Feng's ears. He came back to his senses from his joy. But after learning what Emperor Zuyi had conveyed, his entire face instantly turned from happy to bitter. I don't know either. Yu Feng, as the teacher leading the team and a mentor for the other party for 3 years, had no idea how the other party had twin martial spirits, not to mention an extra martial spirit. He didn't even know where he got the 100,000 year spirit ring. He had never led a team to capture a spirit beast. The last time he knew their strength was half a year ago. He only heard Wood Crossing say that Su Ruoxi was already a spirit master, and he didn't talk about the 100,000 year spirit ring. Du Guyan and Li Lingling were even more so. A few months ago, they were only low-level spirit masters with only 10,000 year spirit rings, but now they all have 100,000 year spirit rings. He didn't know what had happened in the past few months. He thought that his impression was distorted and some of his memories were erased by a powerful spirit master. This group of guys, this is how they teach and educate people. They don't even know that their students have 100,000-year spirit rings and twin martial spirits. What are they doing? After receiving the answer, Emperor Zuyi was almost angry to death. Fortunately, it was shown in the competition, otherwise it would have been poached by other forces and families. Huo Wu, what are you doing? Feng Xiaoshan in the audience was amazed at the twin martial spirits that appeared on the field. He was about to say something, but found that Huo Wu had left her team's area. He didn't have time to be stunned and asked. Now the field is exciting. It is the most important time for them to obtain information from each participating team. As the vice captain of the Blazing Academy and the sole figure, he actually left. I'm going to find my boyfriend, Huo Wu said, and walked towards the area of Xiandao Royal Academy without looking back. Looking for a boyfriend. Feng Xiaoshan almost stumbled and fell to the ground after hearing this. Huo Washang almost drooled from his mouth. When did his sister date other boys without telling him? On the other side, the school of exotic beasts. Yi Ran, what are you doing? Long Gong and Meng Shu, who were watching the exciting game, found that their good granddaughter had left the viewing area at this time and couldn't help but wonder. I'm going to find my boyfriend. Meng Yiran said the same thing as Huo Wu, which made Long Gong and Meng Shu, who were already confused, even more confused. What's going on? Is my granddaughter in love? Who is the other party? What's the character of that boy? What does he look like? How strong is he? Xianshu College. Shubinger also found Shujua, who quietly left, as if she was guilty of a crime, and asked, Shujua, what are you going to do? I'm going to find my man. Shujua said as a matter of course, and then she quickly fled, fearing that her sister would get angry. Hearing her sister's words, Shubinger almost bit off her jaw. What do you mean by looking for my man? You dead nympho. Is that your man? That's my sister's man, isn't it? Wait for me. Shubinger stamped her feet in anger, and then quickly followed. Qiu Ruishu, Gu Qingbo, and other young ladies all opened their mouths at this time, looking at their captain who was leaving in shock. Shujua's words about wanting to be Wu Crossing's man were already earth-shattering enough, and now she really took action, and wanted to deliver the goods to the door. The most important thing is that when the captain saw Jua doing this, not only did he not stop her, but he also planned to join in. Is this still the captain they know? Is this still the captain with a cold personality they know? Has he been possessed by something? End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.